And now it's time for Who's Views with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Who's Views. It is good to see you. And this is another in our season overviews. Yes, it is. And you won't believe it. This one, we're looking at 40 years ago this year. The Trial of a Time Lord is 40. Yeah, it hurts, doesn't it, Paul? It hurts.
It does, yes. It does, yeah.
It's outrageous. As you can see, everybody, I'm joined by Paul. I'm joined by Lex. I'm joined by Graham. I'm joined by... And joining us tonight as well on the show is Miles D, composer of our jingles and our fantastic 8th Doctor theme tune and all these little bits. So good to see you all, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, am I just right in saying, guys, that myself, Paul and Graham were only ones there in 1986 on the night?
You know to rub it in, you know. Yes, that's right, yes.
I might have been in the room.
But remember it
In the womb, did you say?
The womb.
room.
In the womb.
I was 4, so a bit big for the womb.
I was.
I meant you haven't been born yet, is what I meant.
I was about 5 years old when I saw it, and it was just a quick glimpse. We were dialing the channels, and it showed the scene where he gets thrown with the rocks. But then my doctor was Sylvester to start with.
Oh, we've got so many in the chat joining us already. Funky is saying, "Hey, oh Miles."
Hello there, Funky. How are you?
Steve Braddock is with us saying, "Who is this HM stationery office?" That was quite funny. That was quite good for Robert Holmes, I have to say.
Yeah.
And FJ Canal saying to us, guys, I hope we don't have to sit through any Roland Rat the series. Man, that was painful.
Yay.
Now, that you're very lucky because I did play around with trying to find one of those Roland Rat toys to introduce each of these episodes. God, remember that? They poached him from TVM. Do you remember?
Yeah,
They thought they could do a Basil Brush with them, didn't they? And how did that feel? Badly.
He was big back in the day, wasn't he, Roland Rat?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
No, he was huge on TVAM.
Yeah.
And then the kid sort of grew up. So when Michael Grade nicked him to put a BBC One before Doctor Who, trying to get that golden age of BBC back, it didn't work at all. But it wasn't funny. I seem to remember sitting through the last 10, 15 minutes of those shows thinking, right. Mind you, can I just say I'm 16 at that point, and so it wasn't really for me, was it really? Maybe the kids liked it. If you were a kid,
I remember
loving
Roland
For the
Rat.
kids, yeah.
There you go. He was funny
I can't
on
remember him
TV.
having a shot.
Yeah, he was.
but
Yeah.
It was funny when Colin Baker did the impersonation of Roland Rat. That was very good. I like that, yeah.
Kevin the Gerbil.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin the Gerbil, I forgot.
Yeah.
It's named for the past, isn't it?
Wasn't there a hamster as well?
Oh, I hope so.
Listen, we're not supposed to be looking at that. We're not reviewing that. Let's get on to this one. Ethan James saying, as I really enjoyed this season. Yes, it has its issues, but overall was a good season. From Joan Sims to the Vervoids. Yes, I love the Vervoids. That's an asteroid I'm willing to die on. Fair enough. And Paul, you're also coming in and saying, I love the Trial of a Time Lord and do not understand the hate it gets from certain Doctor Who podcasts such as Earth Station Who. Well, stay tuned because you might get some of it from me. I don't know. Oh, good to see you, Paul. And FJ Canal wants to know, looking forward to someone explaining what the catharsis of spurious morality means.
I have no idea.
No,
It's
yeah.
one of Pip and Jane Baker's fantastic, wonderful theatrical lines, aren't they? Great stuff. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to someone telling me what the stories mean, actually.
Do you know that whole thing about Pip and Jane? They said in Doctor Who Monthly magazine, whatever it was in at that point, do you remember that they wanted to get young people reaching for the dictionaries? Well, by God, they succeeded. They really did, because their vocabulary was so rich and eloquent and British. You had to go and look some, and that's actually, I don't think that's a bad thing, because today what you
I had to go and ask Tommy from Planet Spiders. He knew what he's talking about. Yeah, he knew.
Yeah. And today you get things like F this and F that every 20 minutes, don't you? However, Philip Shaw in the chat, gentlemen, has put this in response: getting rid of occasional good deeds. Now that would fit as well, wouldn't it? Philip, you're a genius. After
it doesn't have such a ring to it, though, does it? It doesn't sound so exciting. Yeah.
No. And poor old Michael Jason have to say the bloody thing as well.
He was like Antonelli on acid, wasn't he?
The megabyte modem?
Megabyte modem, yeah.
Megabyte modem. Yeah, bless it. We are going to be looking at this throughout the show. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming. Funky is saying, could have been worse. Imagine if JNT had chosen Roland Rat as Perry's replacement. Well, I think it was mooted. I think there were talks.
I think Tom suggested a talking cabbage at one point, same kind of thing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, now I'll have a talking puppet. Oh, he's the head of Star Trek, by the way. Sadeko's with us as well. It certainly wasn't a very cathartic season. Andy 4, hello to you. I watched The Kid and was so bored. I stopped watching Doctor Who for ages and missed some good later shows. And Steve Braddock, hello to you, mate. Was it me or was Drathra the sex actor who voiced the Vogan who spouted poetry in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No.
Bradley was the voice, wasn't he, Paul?
The voice for Drathra was John Brearley? I think
Brearley. That's it. Really well done. Yeah, John Brearley. And it was we all know now, of course, it was an SFX guy in the blooming suit.
Yeah, because Paul McGuinness, I think. Paul McGuinness, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was Paul McGuinness. Well done. Well, we are looking at this.
Drathra was Roger Brearley.
Roger, that's right,
well done.
Roger,
Thank you so much. We are looking at this as we mark 40 years of the trial of a Time Lord. This is our season overview. To see our review of parts 1 to 4, which we now fondly call The Mysterious Planet, we're going to be coming back on Sunday, the actual 40th anniversary itself, at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon to review The Mysterious Planet. But this is the overview. And this, of course, was broadcast from the 6th of September to the 6th of December 1986 on BBC One, produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Eric Saywood, with stories written by Robert Holmes, Phil Martin, Pip and Jane Baker, and directed by Nicholas Mallet, Ron Jones and Chris Clough. First of the 14-week series. And of course, this was the series that brought Doctor Who back after the now famous 18-month hiatus.
All together now.
Don't even go there, because I hear there's problems with copyright on that one. Oh.
Miles could help us with that one, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. No. So let's start with this. For you Whiskerless U's that weren't there at the time as well, but Graham, Paul, myself, and a load of us in the chat will remember this. Doctor Who, as we all know, as covered by us in our Wilderness Years series, was put on hiatus in 1985, even though the original looking season 23 was ready to go. Scripts had been written, directors appointed, actors were being appointed. Colin and Nicola were hired, they were contracted. Location settings had been put out, designers were being appointed. It was ready to go, and they were months from actually getting into the rehearsal rooms. And of course, as we know, in February 1985, Michael Grade said, that's it, done, finished, it's off the air. Huge uproar from all of us as fans. And then they come back meekly and say, oh no, we didn't mean it's going to finish forever. It's coming back in 1986. It's just going to be the end of 1986 because it needs a bit of a freshen up and it needs a bit of a rest. So we get on with it, don't we, Paul? Don't we, Graham? We all get on with it. And it's we start to see trickles of things coming through. You know, we see pictures of Colin and Nicola where eventually when they start filming, they're on what looks like a very interesting set. There's an interesting looking robot with them as well. And yeah, that's setting the scene.
Yeah, it did.
That's setting the scene.
It did.
Yeah.
I missed the woman when they've got the the straw hats as well, and the canes. Remember, they were kind of posing like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's very show busy. Remember that?
Yeah. So that was that. And then, of course, we started to get news from the production office. Now, in those days, of course, the production office would write to anybody that wrote in. They would send you postcards, guys, with autographs on. They would send you a news sheet, a fact sheet of what information John really wanted to tell you about what was coming up. And we soon learned that season 23 would consist of one major story with the Doctor on trial. Within the one major story would be 4 smaller stories. We got parts 1 to 4, The Mysterious Planet. That's what we're calling them now. So we got The Mysterious Planet, we get Mind Warp, we get Terror of the Vervoids, and the final 2-parter was The Ultimate Foe. But I have to tell you guys, at the time, and hearing from Dwaz, who I was in at the time, and getting the leaflet from, the pamphlet from the production office, and then seeing it again in the monthly, I remember thinking, ooh, because they were pushing it. I think Doctor Who Monthly Paul was pushing it as this is the first Umbrella season since The Key to Time, which was a huge success, and which I personally love.
Yeah.
And they were pushing this other thing. All I could think of, right, it's going to be similar to that. But I do remember thinking,
The trouble with Trial of Time is it's not as loose as The Key to Time. You can watch any story of The Key to Time and probably get it, whereas this is more complicated, isn't it?
Spot on, Paul. Spot on. I remember thinking it was quite a brave thing to try and attempt to do, but I wasn't sure it'd be the right thing to do. I remember thinking like an umbrella, like four little stories in one big one. It all seemed a little bit quite a braver thing for the BBC to put out for after 18 months off the air, but I was not convinced, even as a young lad, thinking this is the way to go forward. And as the stories progressed, I think it became apparent, like Paul was saying, with season 16, you could, if you missed one, you could still pick it up that the Doctor and Romana were looking for this magical MacGuffin, and that's all you really needed to know, wasn't it? And then they had 4 episodes or 6 episodes in the case of the last story, where they wouldn't have found this MacGuffin. But in this thing, it was a constant trial, constant interruptions of it, which were entertaining. I mean, I must admit, sorry, hijacking a bit, but when I watched it at the time, I was frustrated, thinking just get on with the story. But re-watching it for the first time in 10 years, I did find the trial bits better than I remembered they were. They were still probably not. I mean, there's still room for improvement. It's a very static set, isn't it? So what can you do with such a small static set? But I think it's helped by the fact that Michael Jaston and Linda Bellingham are so good in their parts. Yeah. And really, Colin raised his game, I think, in the trial scenes because of those two. Michael, in particular, I think, was a really good villain in this.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Michael Jaston is superb in this. One thing I would say about the set is it's interesting that. So I wish it was like the War Games, because that was hardly any set at all, just lighting, and it was far more atmospheric. I wish they'd made this more atmospheric, more kind of darker, more kind of sinister courtroom. It's a bit usual BBC, too brightly lit at times. You know what I mean?
It's too much. It's too much about that. It should have been, I mean, because you're supposed to think it's in this massive big space station that you see at the very beginning, which I'm sure we're all going to talk about in a minute, because that blew us all away. And then you cut from that beautiful piece of model sequencing to a BBC set, and it's very obviously a BBC set. Some of it looks like a cast off from Saturday Superstore, and you've got
on
all
top
this
of the box as usual.
And you've got that fakeness in a sense. I'm not talking about the quality and stuff, but
when he first walks in, JT, it's nice and dark. Then it's only when
they
should have kept it darker.
They should have kept it like that.
I totally agree. I totally agree. If they kept it down, because this spaceship is a Gallifreyan space station. It's ancient, so the inside of it should have looked dark, danky, worn out. Because I don't know about you guys, but I always thought, why have the Time Lords got a space station this big? Is it bigger on the inside as well?
And why does Pure Machinite look so cheap as well? I'm not quite sure. I mean,
why do they have a space station at all?
Exactly. Yeah.
I've got that in my notes. Why a space station? Why not Gallifrey?
I mean, it's lovely, and it makes a fantastic opening. But equally, that could have been on Gallifrey. I mean, that could just be a building that pulls it in. I mean, it's
It's unusual, isn't it? Because you're right. I even at the time, as a youngster, I thought, why is it not on Gallifrey? And I thought that would be part of the story as it moved on. There'd be a reason why. and it really wasn't.
The model shot actually still works today.
The model shot is probably the best thing about the entire series, and we now know the series it cost a lot of money. We know that now it cost a hell of a lot. I mean, Colin Baker jokes that it cost more than Nicola Bryant. So it's a case of like they made what they could. I mean, the thing was huge as well. It was a massive model.
Oh yeah.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. Motion control cameras, all that sort of stuff we take for granted and have moved on with since then, of course. But for Doctor Who 1986,
there's no.
I mean, I got past. We knew there was going to be a new version of the theme tune, so when I got past that, thinking they should have changed the titles as well, and then you see that space station, I was really exciting, thinking, okay, they've this has changed. They have freshened it up a bit, and then as we say, you get into the trial sets, and that's when I thought, no, they haven't. No,
that model in conjunction with Dominic Glynn's really doom-laden music is superb. That works so well together. Dominic Glynn's music is really good. Incidental music is really good. Yeah.
It does, but the theme tune was actually made for the Peter Hell's. The titles was made for Peter Hell's theme tune. So it kind of the new theme tune that Dominic did, it doesn't quite sit with it. At the start, I don't think.
I don't like that version of the theme at all.
I do like it.
I'm a big fan of,
and it works, but it's just a bit. I know he was constrained for time.
Very much so.
Yeah, the bass. I'd love to know how he quantized the bass line, because to me it slightly lags. It's not right on time like the way Peter Hell's,
Yeah. Do you know, Dominic was on the show with us a few years ago. You can go and see Dominic's show in Merchandise Paradise playlist. And I asked him about the theme tune, and he was more or less saying along the lines of like, it was hard work because they weren't going to change the title sequence.
Yes.
And therefore everything had to where all the stars were going to be, and that's what took a lot of the time for. And he always says he's done several versions of the theme tune since, and of course he's older and wiser. He's got more technology around him now.
He was limited with the technology he had at the time as well.
Exactly.
I prefer it to McCoy's version that came after this.
Totally. So do I. God, let's not get onto that yet. Let's get to chat quickly. Sorry,
I
Graham,
would prefer McCoy.
No, I was just saying.
Same here.
Yeah, I remember not liking it so much at the time, but on subsequent rewatches, I've enjoyed it more. And it's probably the whole season. That's quite a good thing. I didn't particularly think much of it at the time, but watching it again, it's better. And the theme music, particularly, initially I thought, oh no, but none of us really change, do we? I suppose, really.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't really take to it until I bought the 12-inch. Because remember, the 12-inch came out with the hologram on it.
Yeah,
I got that, and because I was listening to it over and over again, it did grow on me. It really did grow. Let's get into the chat because there are lots of people with us. I'm very sad that the Nightmare Fair never was made, said Sadeko 24. Yeah, that would have been a good one. I am sure. You're absolutely right. John Keeley for a super chat. Nice to see you, mate. Good evening, gentlemen. Hope you're all well. The trial itself that linked the season stories was an enjoyable concept for me, and I still have my TARDIS tin set. That's good to know. Mine's over there. Yeah, the VHSs came in the TARDIS.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
you'll know everyone. Mark A. writes with us. I knew something was off with the naff new rinky-dink version of the theme tune set over the same opening sequence as before. It felt a step down before it even started. Okay, yeah, it was weird. Daniel Cox is saying Perry's still wearing high heels in a damp forest and mysterious planet, climbing over rocks in Mind Warp. Yeah, she got a lot to do, didn't she, really? And Funky
they only gave her one pair of shoes, didn't they? That was it.
Yeah. Even Crossroads laughed at the courtroom sets at Funky. Steady on. Steady on. Avon, I've really enjoyed rewatching these episodes, and I have a new love for Colin Baker. He was treated badly by the BBC. Yeah, that's the other thing about this as well. When we started this adventure, of course, on the 6th of September 1986, we didn't know that this was going to be Colin's final season. And it's not the best one to go out on at all, is it really? But there you go. Other people on the 6th floor. It could have been
season 24, let's be honest.
The thing is, though, I reckon, Paul, had Colin not had been dismissed, season 24 would have looked slightly different.
Probably, yeah.
It's like that story where he said he's from his own words. He said they rang him up and said, "We've got good news, Colin. We're back for another season, but you're not in it
without you." Yeah, typical John. Honest to God.
The
space station.
Colin had been vocal, isn't he, about at the time saying, "I want to stay longer than Tom." And I think season 22 seemed to go down quite well with the fans and most of the public, didn't it? It seemed
did very well.
Doing quite well. Collins seemed committed to the role. And then we had the hiatus, and then this come back, and I think this probably didn't really help the public perception of the programme, I don't think.
And it was also, let's just point out as well, season 23 was the first season in several years to return to Saturday night early evening slots on BBC One. Only lasted for this year, though, because, of course, the year after it was moved back into the weekdays for Sylve. You can see our Wilderness Years stories for all of that, because there's a lot going on there. The space station is said to be outside of time, hence why they can see evidence from the past and the future, says Dan.
Yes.
Also because they were accessing the Matrix, of course. Robert Holmes liked the Matrix. Remember, he came away with the whole Matrix idea, didn't he, Paul, back in the 70s? So, really
I always thought it was a prison. Or something.
I think a prison makes more sense, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I buy the out of time argument. They're Time Lords.
Well, the whole thing about it is the Doctor is taken out of time.
Yeah, they can't get a signal for the Matrix otherwise. That's what I'm saying.
St. John, most of the cliffhangers in this season is Colin looking perturbed, shocked, or annoyed. That was one of the things that
zoom close up.
Watching it every week for 14 weeks as a 16-year-old, I was getting so fed up with those zoom in. Now, years later, I learned that again was a JNT thing. I want my leading man at the end of everything, which is great for Colin, I suppose, because he's getting the exposure there. But it doesn't work. It didn't happen again.
The most alarming one was at Capper Sands when he's being pulled down into the sand. That was the most alarming cliffhanger. And the most of them were in the courtroom.
That was the best. That was the best one.
Yeah,
I love that bit when he tries to sugar about a bit to get the water to go over him. That's interesting.
No, bless him. We've got this. We've got why is the Matrix on a space station and not Gallifrey? It's the access, isn't it, to it? Really?
Access to it. Yeah.
St. John is saying, I don't mind the Dominic Glynn theme tune. Thank you for that, mate. Appreciate that. Yeah, well, I mean, we don't. I mean, I'm a big fan of Dominic Glynn's, and if you go and look at my interview with him, you'll see me actually just gushing over what we're talking about. Sadeko, the music is very atmospheric, has a bell toll feeling to it. That's a brilliant thing. Watching it at the time, I remember thinking the incidental music was superb. I thought, this is fresh. It wasn't as heavy as the Radiophonic Workshop, which we've got used to by this point. There is a lightness to it. There's a mysterious to it. There's all these new sounds at the time for us. I remember really liking it. And then rewatching it, The Mysterious Planet for today and our review on Sunday, I still like the Mysterious Planet theme. It is mysterious. It is a bell tolling in there. You can hear that very clearly.
All the digital synths had come out by then, by the mid 80s. So Dominic was using like a DX7 and all digital synths. So you can do a lot more. So that's why the music had slightly changed. It didn't have that analogy sound.
Yeah. It's just I just love it though, because there's all these sort of what I call, because I don't know, Miles, I don't know all the technical terms, but I call them like wibbly things and wobbly things and all this. And those, just like the echoes of the sounds. I think it's lovely, and I do like the music.
I think it's not dated, nowhere near as bad as the McCoy incidental music, is it, with Kef? Which is very late 80s, isn't it? Some of the stuff.
Too late 80s,
Battlefield and
Oh, look about Drum Machine.
Yeah.
To
be fair, actually, it's a very good point, because I must admit, I was quite harsh on at the time on the theme music and the whole feel of season 23. But when you watch it again and take it on, it's a very ambitious storyline, and there were quite a lot of interesting ideas. Things like Mel just popping up without being introduced. Whether or not it's a successful idea, it's something completely new, like a companion just being there. I'm not quite sure whether it works, and I do think for the Notwees, it probably would have been, what on earth is happening by now? Especially,
I think the Notwees by this point have probably tuned out, Graham. To be quite
they were watching the 18, weren't they? I think, or Robin and Sherwood.
So, or whatever.
Is that just because of time constraints, though, with Mel coming into it the way she did? They didn't bother backstory.
No, it's not. It's just because. Well, it was just because it was a production decision, a script editor decision, and they went with it. There was sort of talk about doing Mel's introduction at some point, but I don't think that was true. I think that was a fan rumor. And it was a real case of, when you think about it, Graham's right. 40 years ago we're talking. So this thing was filmed in 1986, screened in 1986. That sort of plot device is used so many times now. It's just that now, of course, you'll get the actual flashback to her actually meeting him at some point. You know, so
But
we've actually go on, Paul.
Partly because of this, it's because the kind of Christmas Carol idea, wasn't it? Having the evidence from the future, like the bit in Christmas Carol when he sees death. There's that kind of comparison, isn't it? That's why they did it in terms of the evidence, wasn't it?
Yeah, and in the future he has a new companion. It makes sense.
Quite a clever idea. Actually, the thing between the Christmas Carol, again, is quite a clever thing, isn't it? You know, past, present, future. The only thing I thought at the time, which really hit me, be interested to see what the guys think. I just thought, this is the War Games Part 2. We've had this already in 1969. We've had the Doctron trial. We've done that. We've been on.
The whole thing about this, though, is I remember, Graham, at the time, a lot of the fans were saying this, and I learned this phrase from some of the older fans at the time, saying art imitating life.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
And when somebody explained to me what that actually meant, I got it completely and utterly straight away, Paul, because I was just like, yes. And that's and since then, of course, Colin's come out often enough saying when he was first told about this, he automatically went, dodgy.
Yeah, not a good idea. Yeah.
So we know that Colin wasn't particularly happy with it. Yeah, but it's interesting though, isn't it? How it's all worked. We've got a lot of comments from you all in the chat. Good to see you, Steve Braddock, saying to us, "I remember the pure shock I suffered when I saw a bull Perry turned evil." We'll get to that in a minute. Dalek Shalom saying, "I watched the first 4 episodes of for the first time yesterday. I understand why younger audiences wouldn't appreciate it when broadcast. It's slightly over ambitious." That's a good way to put it, Dalek Shalom, don't you think, guys? Because it was trying to do so much, and on the minuscule budget it was given and the time it was given, and we now know, of course, about the production hell behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's the bit.
It was ambitious. I mean, at one point there was with the clock nearly at the 11th hour, there was no final episode, if we all remember the story. So it's a good way to put that, don't you think, guys, from Dalek Shalom?
Yeah, it is.
I think there's some lovely bits in it, location-wise. Like you said earlier, there's that lovely kind of village they were in, the Stone Age village, or was Iron Age village rather. It was really interesting, a very good location. You know,
it's good dialogue in it, Paul, as well, isn't there? Especially the Robert Holmes bit, and I thought the Philip Martin one also quite a lot of quite comedic dialogue, quite well written dialogue, and the typical Holmes double acts. You've got the Drathro's slaves, obviously Tony Selby and the other guy Dibber. I mean, that's typical Holmes, isn't it? And right up there with his best kind of creations, I think. I think Tony Selby's really good in this, actually.
Can we just remember as well at this particular point, everybody, that this was along with episode 12 of the serial, the last work Robert Holmes did, because he passed very shortly after. He wasn't a well man when he put this together. And at this point, I want to say this is by no means his strongest ever Doctor Who script, but it's still bloody better than the majority of stuff you could get, and it's still better than a lot of the recent crap we've had. I can watch parts 1 to 4 as I did yesterday very happily and recognize Doctor Who, recognize the whole thing. Yes, I do recognize elements of Crotons for those of you who've messaged in. I do recognize them, but there was a long time between the Crotons and this.
The robots are vaguely better. Drathro's better, but the L3 is not that great, is it?
No, the L3 is terrible, isn't it? Like a little box thing.
It's like
Drathro,
bring back the War Machine's always forgiven. So.
Drathro, as you say, as you can see from there, I mean, as we know, I remember being fascinated by this, thinking this is an actual costume. There's a fella in this. This is very good. This is nicely done.
I remember the Blue Peter at the time, and it's on the Blu-ray box set when they did all the interviews with the technicians and Nabil Shaban and people like that. And the hand of that robot, when you see it articulating, it's incredible that it can stuff it can do. It probably could be on 3-2-1. It was that good,
Dave Harding in the chat saying to us that The Ultimate Foe is my all-time favorite Doctor Who story. Now, this is why I love meeting with all of you lot on Who's Views. Because we all come from it from a different point, and it is wonderful to hear somebody tell me that The Ultimate Foe is their all-time favorite after everything we've had since and everything we had before. I think that's brilliant, because it is The Ultimate Foe. I think thank God they didn't go with the original idea. I think it's a good end, and we get to see Michael Jayston more.
Well, considering the trouble they had to get together, these 2 episodes, the last 2 are really good. I don't know if they wrap it up properly or not, but they're really good, really entertaining episodes, I have to say.
Yeah, that's the key word, that, Paul. Entertainment. The whole thing's entertaining, isn't it? It may not be. I wouldn't cast it as really great, good Doctor Who, but it's entertaining. I watched the whole lot over the last couple of days.
Are you okay? Do you need a darkened room or a nurse or something like that?
No, I was really surprised. So I went in pessimistically, thinking I remember this being pretty bad at the time. Watched it a couple of times when the DVDs come out, and watched it for about 10 years. Rewatched it all, and by the end of it, I was really, really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. But it's kind of unique, isn't it, in Doctor in the way it's done? It's a short season. They all connect together, but there's some great. I like there's some good guest casting, isn't there?
Oh yeah,
Joan Sims. I'm not sure what Joan's playing in this particular story, but she's there.
Boy, that's his grandmother, apparently. Yes.
Well, can we talk about it? 'Cause I've got a picture for you, but I want to bring this in from Mark. Mark A. Wright saying the general concept was so exciting to me when I first read about it. After so much time, I was expecting something fresh. Yeah. And yet, after that stunning opening sequence, it just looked exactly the same. Mark, I'm with you. And I remember being that little bit disappointed because I was quite excited. I remember, guys, on the 6th of September, 1986, being in the kitchen with my mum. And we were making cups of tea and stuff like that. We just had tea, or we were about to have tea or something. You know, the usual Saturday night thing you would do.
Yeah.
And my sister went in. The rat thing finished. And then... the new theme started, and I remember my mum saying, "Oh, they've changed it," and I said something along the lines of, "I think they've changed everything." And then by the end of the episode, realizing it's still the BBC. It's not. It's not going to be.
The one thing they had changed, but I know I don't want to dwell on it too much because we'll review it later on in the week. But Colin Baker's performance of the Sixth Doctor, he's much more mellow, and the relationship with him and Perry are so much better.
Yes,
and I think Colin's really good in this, despite what happened, the postponement, etc., etc. He's really good in the whole season.
Yeah, totally agree with that, Paul.
I think that's what that is. They had off-screen adventures.
Yeah.
And that's what they mellowed. Yeah.
But also it was a case that Colin and Nicola had insisted, as we now know, no more squabbling. It's got to go. That has to get out. I mean, by the time you get to Time Lash in season 22, you are so fed up of that squabbling. Colin and Nicola sort of get their way in Revelation, of course, to say, we're sick of this. But when it comes to the 18-month break and they all sit down, they were quite right to say, these two have been together for ages. There is no reason why Perry would stay with the Doctor, or the Doctor would have Perry around if they're not getting on. And it is refreshing, Paul, isn't it? It's refreshing, guys, to have this new relationship with the Doctor. And I remember being so relieved. This is how it should be. They care for each other. So if one of them's in danger, as we get to see in Mind Warp, the other one feels it and will do anything they can. It's like Liz Sladen said, you know, the companion is the Doctor's best friend.
Yeah, you never got that. And you didn't really get that feeling in season 22. I'd probably say Colin is actually better in 23 than 22, although I prefer 22 as a season, maybe.
Yeah, they mellowed him a bit.
Then they backtrack again, though, in Mind Warp, when Colin's mind goes and they're
Mind Warp.
bickering again.
It must have been, she must have said something to him. It must have been that about Twin Dilemma when she said he was sweet and he's never forgiven her, because that's why he gets back out of Mind Warp. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Why they did that after that wonderful relationship building in Mysterious Planet, I don't understand. It really is crazy.
Well, it's because of it's Mind Warp. It's supposed to be putting the audience on a backhander, isn't it? But
they've done it before previously, you know what I mean? In Twin Dilemma, it's like it's too soon for Colin. If it never happened before, that'd have been great. And more of a surprise. Because they've done it before in Twin Dilemma, it seemed a bit pointless, you know.
I remember thinking at the time, we don't need another bad Doctor being bad again. Even for whatever reason, we don't want to see our hero acting horrible to his companion. And even it made sense, but like Paul said, it was just after Twin Dilemma, comparatively so. We needed a hero figure that we could believe in.
Let's go back. You mentioned Joan Sims. I do want to talk about it because I was delighted when Joan Sims was announced as coming into Doctor Who. Now, this was so typically JNT. I know there's a lot of older fans at the end of the time who were getting at all these what we call stunt casting. The newer version that's just ended on BBC television after 20 odd years was also guilty of the same thing, and that shows you that show business is about names. It's about people that are going to be able to do the job properly and people they think are going to bring them in. I agree with you, Graham. You look at Joan here, and she hasn't a bloody clue what's going on. God love it. I mean, Joan Sims
was direction. Well, she should have been directed, shouldn't she? She does the best what she can, but you can tell she's not quite sure. Play it for laughs, play it for dramatic effects.
She obviously on the phone to Beryl Reid, wasn't she? Let's be honest.
It's a
Beryl
shame,
Reid
though,
sci-fi acting school.
Yeah. Did you go to that as well? No, but it was a real case of like, I agree with you. I think if they had said to her, we see it like this, Joan Sims was an accomplished actor. And she was a comedian as well. We know her for the Carry On films, of course, which they really played on this. But she had done so much. And when you see her in some of the other stuff that came after The Trial of a Time Lord, she's just, I mean, I caught her in something, I don't know what it's called, but Dennis Waterman was in it. And I caught her on repeat television a few weeks ago. Yeah. Thank you. And I thought, oh my God, there's Joan Sims. So I'm immediately, I'm watching it, Phil. And she was just fantastic. And I thought, that's good direction with Joan. That's what she needs, because she didn't get that in Doctor Who.
I think as J&T said all along, these people are actors. They've done other things, they're not just comedians or comedy actors,
Yeah, I felt sorry for the scene that she was in where she says, "Come on, let's charge," and she's like right at the background, and the other men are going, and the charge.
Yeah, I just thought she needed a little bit of guidance, didn't she? I mean, because like you say, the setting was good, the costumes were quite good, and it was quite well lit and quite well thought out, the storyline. But there were bits that let it down, and you could see she didn't have much of a guidance on how to play the part. But I do like the bits when she's with when she tells Perry about the husbands and stuff like that, doesn't she, or whatever, and she bounces off Tony Selby well with Blitz, doesn't she? So she's quite good in that. So. And to be fair to J&T, I thought most of his so-called stunt cast worked really either very well or at least reasonably well. I would say she's more reasonable rather than very, but she was well worth being in.
The important thing about it as well, guys, is that for those younger ones like Miles and Lex and Emilio and Kirsty and anybody that goes to it, they're going to get a taste of these actors that we took for granted as kids. Because I'd grown up with Joan Sims, so I knew who she was. Carry On with them.
When I first saw Trial of a Time Lord, I knew Joan Sims because I watched Simon and the Witch as a kid.
Of course,
she was in Simon and the Witch. But I also thought, having known that Mel was coming into the series, the first thing I thought when I saw the red hair, I thought she's Mel's mother. That's what I thought.
Yes. That's been a running gag, I think, since we all noticed that Bonnie's hair was very similar to the wig Joan was wearing.
Well, the same wig.
My fond memory of Joan Sims is one of our dinosaurs is missing.
Of course, she's brilliant in that.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
I mean, she was an amazing. As I say, she was an amazing actor. It was lovely to have her in Doctor Who. I just wish she'd been given that. That stronger sort of Joan. We need you to do it this way, love, and direct, because she would have responded to direction. Because you can see it now with older eyes, from my point of view as well. She's lost a bit. She's not delivering lines in the way that Joan Sims, as the actor she was, could deliver lines, because she doesn't know what's going on. So that's a shame. That is a shame. She could have made that character really sparkle, I think, and a real Robert Holmes gem, because it's quite a funny character in some parts, isn't it, Katrika? But it's also quite serious. She's quite dangerous, Katrika, because she's bloody minded. Let's face it.
So obviously, I may have seen it on the TV. I don't remember, but my first real memory of Trial of a Time Lord is watching it on video, and by the time I came to buy it, which was the turn of the century. I mean, it wasn't very common. So I paid a lot of money for my, 3 or 4 cassettes in a tin. And I wanted to enjoy it. I was determined to enjoy it because I'd spent all of this money on it. But I remember Joan Sims, What's Out of the Carry On films, and On the Up with Dennis Waterman. And just being like, even as much as I love Colin, this is a bit of a slog. But I stuck with it because it was expensive. And then Mime Walk came along and this is a lot better. And then Terror of the Vervoids comes along and this is an awful lot better. And it just gets better and better. But on first reviewing, I remember just being like, what the hell is
that's really interesting, Phil, because you imagine this was the first 4 episodes of the first story was the great big, we're back, this is how it's going to be, and it's going to be great and wonderful, And you're right. Imagine, I remember at the time I was very like, oh my God, this is not good. You know, I was very critical of it at the time. I wanted dark, I wanted drama, I wanted excitement, and it just looked cheap, didn't it? Apart from the opening scene, it looked kind of cheap, didn't it? The robot, like Paul was saying earlier about the L1 robot. I know it's only a service robot, so it's not got to look particularly exciting, but it certainly wasn't very exciting. And as a youngster,
compare it to Drathro.
Compared to Drathro,
and you can't help but compare because they're the same.
Just remember, in 1986, we'd not seen anything like the L1 in Doctor Who before.
No, it's good design, quite imaginative, because it didn't look like anything we've seen before, which was quite a good, a thing, and
it had an effect on the younger ones as well. The younger ones were quite frightened of it, going by all the response from it, including Colin Baker's own daughter, one of his daughters.
When it carries the Doctor off, though, that's quite good. I have to say, when he gets
that's brilliant.
Carried away, that's really good. Yeah,
that's a very good one. Tom Shadbon says FJ Canal quite rightly as well. Again, given a bizarre performance. I mean, we all know and love him as Duggan, of course, in The City of Death, and recently passed, as we paid tribute to before.
What
interesting performance.
I didn't recognize that it was Duggan for years. Like,
did you?
It feels like a waste of Tom Chadman, doesn't it? A little bit,
I forgot he was in it. He didn't. It's not nothing like his performance as Duggan, is it? I mean, why should it be? It's a different character, but there's not the charisma, is there, in his particular performance? Maybe it was direction, and maybe I don't know. I mean, you wouldn't have thought the pressure would be there. This was filmed first, wasn't it? So you wouldn't think it'd be. It should be getting worse pressure-wise as the season goes on. But it is a bit flat. But conversely, I think. I keep saying it. Tony Selby and the other guy are good, aren't they? They appear to be doing quite a good kind of double act, don't they? And rise to the occasion. They don't get bogged down in material. They're quite amusing, quite good, I think. Hence
Tony Selby was so popular as well with the production team. Of course, he's got 5 more episodes to come.
I remember seeing an episode of Bergerac where Tony Selby is in it. He plays a gangster like his character Sabalon Blitz, and I think maybe John Nathan Turner might have seen him in Bergerac beforehand, because he's playing almost exactly the same character. He burgles a house and he says, like, "Don't open your parlour" in Bergerac. So it's kind of the same language. I just thought maybe John Turner might have seen him in Bergerac first and then picked him up,
The part was written as a sort of Cockney gangster in space, and Tony Selby knew exactly what he was going to do with that, and he delivers. He just delivers it.
Boy in space.
Exactly. Sadly, the budget was spent on the truly impressive opening sequence, says Richard Brooks, and Rory Sandage saying to us, it became a bit panto, sadly. Steve Blackie getting back to that, saying, "Oh no, it didn't." And Lawrence Steele, I love our people in the chat. Lawrence Steele saying, "I was 8 when this season aired, and I loved it. I didn't realize the hate for it until the Wilderness years, and I still don't understand the Colin Baker criticism either." It is strange, though, Lawrence, how this particular series is being revalued by new generations who actually come to it. I think, guys, and I'm going to say this again, I think I'm personally now at this age, I'm older and I'm looking at it again, but again I'm going to put it down to the fact, because I have been starved of any recognizable decent Doctor Who for years, I can go back to something from 1986 and think that's Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
I think part of the problem originally, we had all the hype, didn't we, of it coming back? And when somebody's hyped up so much, it never always lives up to that hype, does it? And that's part of the problem. I love Child of the Time Mod now. I loved it at the time, but I think the hype is so great, you don't really it doesn't live up to that. Really, that's the problem.
But it's very strange, because when it did come back, the audience figures were much lower, even though it had gone back to Saturday night. And if you look at the 1985 season, it started off with 8.9 million for Attack of the Cybermen, and the whole season, it finished off with 7.7 million for Revelation of the Daleks. So the whole season was strong with the audience figures. But then when it came back to Saturday night, then after 18 months, they were down in the 3 millions. So
I think that says an awful lot, Miles, about how the audience at the time, I think, had they gone for the original Series 23 and gone for the January 1986 start as planned, I think we would have still been seeing 7 to 8 million per episode.
The hiatus really damaged the show. It really did.
Yeah, I think so, Paul. I think the hiatus really damaged the show. I think people literally forgot about Doctor Who. I mean, nothing much was going on. Do you know what I mean? And it sort of weakened the show for the rest of its run, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And when you think Colin had only been in the role for 1 year, so it wasn't like Tom, we had a recognisable Doctor. Colin had done the one year of season 22. Then there was 18-month gap. And if you ask the average Notwheel in the street, who's Doctor Who, they probably would have still said Davison. Some might have still said Tom Baker, mightn't they? Because he hadn't been in it very long. And then 18 months goes by, he comes back. And like you say, it was quite hyped, wasn't it? Especially in fandom, it was hyped, wasn't it? We were all chomping at the bit to see it. You know, it was really going to be, you know, J&T had promised us something really special, and it was going to be great. And you know, we'd seen the pictures and we'd seen like the story breakdowns and things, and it was being hyped a lot. And I remember thinking, can't wait. And at the time, like repeat myself, was critical. But like Paul was saying, as an adult watching it back now, it's hugely entertaining, flaws as well. But it's entertaining, it's good fun, it's imaginative, it's funny, and it doesn't always work. But I thoroughly enjoyed the rewatching it recently.
Yeah.
Richard Brooks is saying we saw a subtle change between the two seasons. If only it had the chance to evolve. I do agree with you, Richard. You can see a difference between 22 and 23. 23 isn't as I don't think it's as confident, to use that word. It's certainly not as aggressive in
violent.
I don't mind. I don't mean, but through the violent crap that we all got thrown. I remind them that it was season 22 went bang, 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 and then 23 sort of goes.
Yeah, definite.
Do you know what I mean? There's that sort of level of gentleness to the whole thing, and compared to 22 and 23, 23 is more cotton wool to 22's.
But I do prefer the shorter episode time. I do prefer the shorter episode.
Yeah. In Mysterious Planet, it's got a little bit of when you see the train station set, it's got a very Beneath the Planet of the Apes feel.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Good point. That's a good point. Darren saying to us, Philip Martin said in the DVD commentary that he thought it would be interesting for the Doctor to act out a character, and then Colin jumps in with, but it wasn't for my Doctor. Awkward. And Legion of James, this season sadly felt like Colin finally settled and found his grounding in the character he was going to be going forward in Mysterious Planet. You can see Colin, I agree, Colin, especially in this series, Mysterious Planet especially, he's got his mannerisms, he's got his action, the way he's holding his body, he knows who the Doctor is, he knows how he wants to go. I would have loved to have seen more of that Doctor moving forward.
It's the Doctor that goes into the big finishes as well, I think.
Do you think so?
He's playing the same.
The softer version,
FJ Canal saying it really upset me, the events in Mind Warp. It was such a dark story. Brian Blessed is hilarious and helps enormously lighten the grim mood and evil machinations. And Jason Parker saying Colin was wonderful in this, so much more depth. I loved him in this. I honestly could see him going into the 90s. Imagine this portrayal with a mellowing version of a costume to match. I feel robbed.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because come 1986, when the announcement was made before Christmas, I think we all did.
Yeah.
It seemed very harsh on Colin, didn't it? Because I think whatever you say about this season, I mean, and I've read a few people saying that Colin was a bit hammy at times, but I don't agree. I thought he played a very good part, and I do think that working alongside Michael Jaston and Linda Bellingham particularly raised his game, didn't he? And he was just good in it, I thought, all through it. He played a really good, like JT said, he was recognisable. He was the Doctor. This was proper Doctor Who, you know, with all its ups and downs, really. But Colin was, we were robbed, really. It'd be nice to see at least maybe 1 or maybe 2 years. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? Give him a 3 or 4 seasons. It'd be lovely.
Yeah, he found his footing, didn't he, in the end in Doctor Who, and then he just was taken off him.
He must have been, well, we know he was frustrated as well, because he was so eager to do this second season. He'd seen some of the scripts. He knew about what was coming along. He was geared up. He was ready to go. And then suddenly you've got 18 months off. We'll see you in 1986.
It's incredible they wasted all that money, didn't they? And all that pre-production, all the writing, etc. It's just typical BBC to pour it down the toilet. Ridiculous.
Because it's not theirs. It's typical public service nonsense. What they should have done, in hindsight, of course, because it's just gone ahead with season 23, the original plan, waited for the fabulous ratings to come in, and then get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know, they could have built
Nightmare
it into
Fair
the
would have
plan.
been brilliant.
Nightmare Fair,
yeah.
fabulous.
I'd love to have seen that.
Yeah. Having seen some of the others, though, they would have needed work.
Yeah.
But here we go. Yeah. So we got through the mysterious planet. Again, when you look at it now, that pattern that was new to us in '86 really is used all the time now, because you had certain elements in the mysterious planet that was set up to run throughout the rest of the series. The secrets.
Yeah.
You know, eventually gets, thank goodness, it gets revealed in episodes 12 and 13 what that's all about, and the corruption of the Matrix. And there's little questions all along, but not as much as what happens, of course, in Mind Warp, where absolutely everything goes completely and utterly bizarre. And you're suddenly asking yourself, through these 4 episodes, what is going on?
I remember seeing this sequence in a trailer and thinking, that doesn't look wonderful. And then you see the bird going across. Remember the bird?
Yeah,
I quite like that little touch.
Yeah, that green bird. Yeah,
an alien bird.
That's a paint box. That do you know what I done TV and media in college, and our teacher brought in a Quantel paint box for us to mess around with, and it's very difficult to do that. Like that's why most of the shots are static. They couldn't do a lot of motion, you know. Because they have to change the map.
It does. It gives it a nice alien feel to it, doesn't it?
Again, we have to put it out to everybody today who may not have seen this or don't remember it or have been introduced to it due to this show. That was brand new to Doctor Who. This was Doctor Who actually looking with it at the time, because this was our first proper alien planet. Green skies, pink water. It's written into the script. You know, the lighting on Perry and Colin is stunning for the blue rocks. I mean, this is down near Brighton, for heaven's sake. Actually, just down the road from John, where he lived, and it's done up there near Brighton.
Does anyone remember those Choose Your Adventure books you used to get in the 80s? Those Choose Your Own Adventure. I thought Mind What was like a visual story of that. It was like pick your own adventure, because what's real, what's not real. What's going on? What's quirky? What's But it was again entertainment. I mean, and it was lovely to see Seal back. I liked him in Vengeance on Varos, and it was good to see him back with Christopher Ryan's Kiv. That was a highlight. I mean, definitely. I quite like Mind Warp, but it is a very weird one, and it makes me laugh when people say Ghostlight's tough to understand. And
it's
what's this?
It's a bit like Island of Dr. Moreau, isn't it?
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed episode 1 immensely back then and now. I watched up until the end of Mind Warp for this overview, and episode 1 I really liked. The courtroom scenes still jar me a little bit, but the actual build up I think is quite nice. And again, I think as I often say with things, if it had a bit more time, a little bit more work on it. I like the fact it's dark, Miles. I like the fact it's dark in contrast to what we've just had the previous story. I like the fact it's the present, and the Doctor's wearing the same thing. So even in part 1, when I was 16, guys, I'm thinking, how present? And then there's all these little bits and pieces that are coming. By the way, where is Perry? And that beautiful, I have to say, Richard Hartley's music.
Yeah, it's really good.
Richard Hartley's music, I think that's the only time Richard Hartley does music for Doctor Who, is it?
He does, and he did it at the last minute, Richard. I don't know if you know, Miles, I don't know if you know that, but Richard came in at the last minute to do a score because the previous composer, John, went, not having it.
Yeah, well, you can hear the OB. It's an Oberheim synth that he's using, and it's marvelous. It just sounds wonderful.
Don't you love having Miles D on the show, everybody, with all these technical bits here? Oh yes, this
it's
was
like
a blah blah blah.
Alien though. I don't understand the word. It's like he's from the future.
I think he's making it up.
I do. There's no such thing. Quantel bloody paint box. Mike,
but Mind Warp was well lit, wasn't it? Some good sets in Mind Warp, isn't there? All the little strobe lights flashing away, and it's quite gloomy and dark, and it's a very unusual story. But
there's a lot of scenes where they're just standing around with the Lucosa and Brian Blessed just talking in a tree shot. You know, there's a lot of that going on in it. You know,
Brian Blessed, the Space Samurai.
Brian Blessed. What can you say about Brian? He's never.
Yeah, what can you say about Brian?
Without shouting.
Yeah, I met him.
Did you, Lex? You met him?
Yeah, on a film set. Yeah, a friend of mine was doing a film.
Thomas Branch, that's the Lucosa. I couldn't think of his name.
Again, it's another name. I think I had been dreading Brian Blessed coming into Doctor Who as a kid. I knew it was going to happen, and then here he is in Trial of a Time Lord doing exactly what I expect Brian Blessed to do. And even today, I can look at it going, "Oh God."
The sad thing about Brian Blessed, he's adopted this Flash Gordon persona after Flash Gordon. Prior to that, he was quite a subtle actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, he was a nice actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in certain cars like Claudius, all that kind of stuff, incredible, And after Flash Gordon, that's what he does all the time,
I just goes completely over the top because he made money of it and made anyway. And anyway, Chorus Sci-Fi Fantasy, thank you so much for your super chat here. Evening, gentlemen. I love season 23 and was surprised to discover how disliked Colin was. He's a brilliant Doctor. Mind Warp is my favorite. Perry's apparent death made me cry far more than the rubbish RTD tried with Rose Tyler. Oh, Chorus Sci-Fi. Nice to see.
It was very effective. It's a shame they backtracked and made her marry King Yorkanos because that just didn't make any sense. Yeah,
I reckon Stephen Moffat watched this, right? Because this was the first case of someone not staying dead. So Moffat would watch that and thought, "Oh, I'll have a bit of that when it comes to the new series, won't it?" We're getting back again.
Overdone it.
Again, the build up to this, guys. I'm rewatching it now, 40 years later. The build up to it is brilliant. Because you do get, Perry has been, since the moment she stepped aboard the TARDIS in Planet of Fire, she has been one of those companions that has moaned about it for a little while and not felt 100% safe. Yeah. And now we've got this new relationship with her. She's been traveling with the Doctor for a number of years, Earth years. She's been there obviously quite a long time. The two of them have grown so fond of each other. They are a lovely double act. And yet she gets here and she feels it. And I think Nicola portrays that beautifully. She knows something is going wrong. And when the Doctor is affected, she's heartbroken. This scene where he's put her in irons and the water's getting her from the sea. It's horrifying. This is 5 o'clock in the afternoon. This is a horrifying, this is a torture scene in Doctor Who. And this is where I don't know about you guys, but I'm watching this thinking, this is where a not we would go, oh my God, switch off. Definitely, because the Doctor doesn't do that. And if you're not following the whole content of the story, it's not being put out properly. Okay, Colin Baker stands up in the trial scenes occasionally to say, that didn't happen. But the fact that they don't illustrate it properly, in my opinion, guys, to say maybe they may, do you know what I mean? I think that scene is horrifying. It's dramatic, don't get me wrong, but I don't like the Doctor in this at all. No wonder Colin Baker's Doctor, everybody gets a bit of a backlash because it was never really what parts of Mind Warp, gentlemen, were true and what parts weren't.
That's the bit. That we ever know. Nail the head. I don't know. Which is that a good thing though, that it's so ambiguous?
No, I think you need to explain it to your audience. I think there are some cases where I think you can actually leave it to the audience to decide. When it comes to taking your lead character who's been on the air for 23 years. And you mess with him that much, no, you need to explain what the hell.
And didn't I read, JT, that Philip Martin wasn't sure, neither was Eric Saywood, neither was Colin Baker.
None of them knew. None of them knew.
All he needed was a marshmallow to snap himself out of it.
Yeah,
only he knew.
Those marshmallows. Do you know? I was once told by somebody that the marshmallow idea from Vengeance of Varos into this was supposed to be marketed.
Oh, really?
Oh, goodness, really?
Yeah, but none of the they couldn't get. Apparently they did try to do something with Cross and Blackwell or something to say, can we use your
a tin of green peaches? Yeah.
I don't know how much that's true, but they did look at trying to do some sort of confection, and then because the BBC at the time, no, you can't do it. Blah blah blah. It's a very. The story looks good. You can't tell it's the same bloody corridor all the time. That's really good. Yeah. The acting is good but confused because nobody knows what the hell is going on.
And there was one door that got paid more than the actors.
Yeah, apparently they saw the invoice for it, didn't they?
Yeah. I'll tell you what I did find though, because it's a really dark story, but there are bits of quite humorous, isn't there? When you've got like the mentor.
You smell fish.
And the loud noise is covering his ears, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
Water.
Worse than dead poor. So it's quite it's quite comical at times, but it is dark and it's very confusing. I remember at the time not understanding it at all. I didn't have a clue. I was 16. And I'd followed everything up to then, and I thought, this is beyond me. I ain't got a clue. I'm on my way with this. This is far too complicated.
Yeah, it's a shame. Again, it's I'm going to say this to you all, actually, panel and everybody in the chat. what I still think about today, and it's one of these conversations I've had now for nigh on 40 years now. They had 18 bloody months off. What the hell were they bloody doing? Because they come up with this. What the hell were they doing? Now, I know that a certain producer was bloody well flying off around the world. No, you should be. What they had 18 months, and they could have planned, and they could have put things together, and they could have tried things out, and they could have discussed things, and they could have that's not going to work, and that's going
to be fair.
They did it at the last minute. That annoys me as a fan.
To be fair, they never got any direction from the BBC, did they? Never said do X, Y, and Z.
No,
you know what I mean? They already had a season already prepared, and that must have been tough to get rid of all that. You know what I mean? Because there was all that work into that. You know, no, I agree. Again, going back to the hype of it, it was a bit disappointing when it came back, but give them a bit of a break. The BBC gave them no direction whatsoever. Apparently, make it less violent. Apparently, that was it, wasn't it?
But I still think, though, even though. That would have become quite obvious and apparent quite quickly, I think, Paul, that they weren't going to get any guidance. And I think they could have actually said, right, these scripts we've bought and paid for, how can we redevelop them for 4 episodes? Because that would have been quite easy. They could have worked with Graham, God bless him. They could have worked with, I mean, Philip came back, didn't he? Because he was supposed to do Mission to Magnus, and then he comes back to do Mind Warp. They could have developed it more. These writers, the script editor, the producer, everybody, they had 18 months. And even if they said, right, we'll take 4 months off, you still have more. They went into production in 1986. They knew this thing was from February 85. They had time. They had time to develop things and do things properly, I think. And I'm still quite a little bit bitter, everybody. Can you tell?
Do you think that's something allegedly to do with the relationship between Eric Sayward and J&T? Because it was a bit rocky at times. Is that
no, I think it was just purely because I think it's purely because they didn't bother. Do you know what I mean? I mean, John was busy
gallivanting.
He was gallivanting, Paul. Yeah, I mean, he was busy.
Did you recognise the security guard in the episode?
Which one?
The one that was always chasing Perry and Brian Blessed.
Oh, the guy who's in his Martha's father. You mean
Martha Jones's father? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes, we knew. But you know what gets me about this as well? I thought at the time, and I still
Trevor
think
Laird.
now, Lex, he can't deliver a line.
No.
Bloody awful acting. He cannot deliver a line. He's like, no, da, 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 da.
It's the other guy, I think, is pretty bad. The guy from My Beautiful Laundrette, I've forgotten his name. He's the one of the Al fans who's got the.
He's quite disappointing as well.
He's quite a bit
My Beautiful. My Beautiful Laundrette. He gives a lovely performance, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But in here, it's so they're just saying, "Oh, it's Doctor Who."
Yeah, that's the key.
Brian Blessed makes up for those two, to be fair, though. Yeah.
Brian doesn't have that affliction, does he?
In terms of the mass and volume.
Yeah.
And also, he keeps making these funny noises, doesn't he? And I was like, what's he talking about?
Varunic.
The whistle's weird.
Yeah.
We've got Zach Whitten in the chat with us saying, I went to the beach where they filmed Mind Warp, and it's still a nudist beach. I had to be careful where I took photos. Yes, I know the beach well. It's up the road from Brighton. It's fabulous. If you're in and around the Brighton area and it's a warm summer, go to it because and just lay there and enjoy it, because those stones get warm and they really, really settle into your back, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely fabulous. I wonder
what this year was like, JT. With that,
I remember going there once in a good summer, and I'm doing all this. And then I'm starting in the pub that evening at 6 o'clock. So I thought, oh, crikey, I better go. And they called me Beetroot all night because I had this fabulous red glow to me. And my back was, but it was beautiful. You know, and now, of course, people charge for that stuff. You get all these things at spas and stuff with stones. Yeah. Get yourself down to Brighton Beach, get your clothes off and get down there on a lovely hot day. It's fabulous. Oh, bless him. Brian Blessed.
Yeah, it is. It is got to be the ultimate Brian Blessed performance, because literally every line is so over the top.
Loud. It's loud,
isn't it? Yeah, it's more than loud. It's extravagant, isn't it? But it does suit his character. And I do think when I watched it over the last couple of days, there are signs of, unlike Leela and Andred, there are signs a little bit of Perry and Yrcanos kind of clicking a little bit. I'm not saying romantically, but there's the odd sign of her like being a little bit sweet towards him. I mean, you wouldn't imagine that she's going to run off and marry him or anything at the end of the story. But,
well, of course, don't forget when they filmed it, Graham, that was not part of the story. As far as Nicola was concerned, Perry had died. And she didn't know about it until was it a fan or Colin or something? Years later?
Why would you? I wonder why, though. Why did they redo the ending? Because it was such a good ending, such a
Did
classic.
they get complaints about it? Did they?
No,
they
they copped out. No,
Right.
I don't think it was complaints, Lex. I think, well, there was the usual, all of us going, oh my God, what a shocking ending in the Radio Times and stuff.
Yeah.
I think they copped out to say they had to finish because of what was going on behind the scenes. Because remember, the original ending had the Doctor and the Valeyard falling into an abyss. And John Nathan Turner said, absolutely not, because they'll end the series there and then. And he was right, because it was a good excuse to finish it. He was right. They rewrote it all, and I think they wanted to finish the trial on highs rather than
and that lovely cheesy pink
glow,
like something out of Dynasty or something. Yeah, so,
Mills and Boom.
Very, and that lovely twee music from Dominic as well. Yeah, fabulous. Thanks, Dom. Wonderful. He did the best with a very stupid ending. Philip Martin does create an amazing and detailed world, says FJ Canal. Sil and Kiv are terrific villains. I like the elderly mentor too.
Yeah.
Zach is saying episode 4 of Mind Warp sent shivers down my spine. I suppose it would for kids, and
that bit when they take the Doctor at a time as well, when the Doctor's trying to find Perry, and he takes it. That's brilliant, really good.
He's just like
he
freezes and the TARDIS appears, and then he that warp backwards shot is amazing. It was like,
I remember getting the chills down my spine as a 16-year-old to that, thinking that's how it fits in. What a point to take him out of it. Thinking that was cut. Now again, in television today, that's run of the mill. We're spoiled with that. But this is Doctor Who, 1986 BBC television. This is new. This is different. It never happened like that, and it upped the ante. And then you get Colin's wonderful reactions to all this, saying, whatever made you take me all the time when you did? I was on the way to save Perry. And then the Valeyard just being that hard, watch what happened because of you. And it's amazing. I remember just thinking that the whole world was changing in Doctor Who at this point, thinking they've done it again. Coming off the back of Adric. I thought they've done it again. There's no way she's going to get out of this. And it was a bloody shocker, wasn't it?
I was wondering what younger fan reaction was to this, because I was, as an adult, I was 20 at the time, I was gobsmacked by this, but I wonder how traumatic it was for younger viewers, to be honest, because quite, if you're attached to Perry, then it must be quite heart-wrenching.
Well, going back to that scene, the scientist was like Dr. Frankenstein. He was like really a mad scientist. He said, shave her head.
I mean, Nicola says that her voice wasn't modified, but I think it is pitched down. It is voice, pitched down slightly to,
I thought she played it very well, because when she's revitalized, you don't see Perry, you see Kiv basically in her body, don't you? So it's quite it's only on the screen for a very brief time before Brian comes in and shoots her, but it's still very it's like Paul was saying, it would have been very dramatic for the youngsters, wouldn't it? A companion.
It's just so exciting, though. I mean, the whole point, from as Paul was saying, from the point where the TARDIS suddenly arrives in that blue glow from episode 1, the Doctor's suddenly taken away. You see the trial thing again, the space station again, and you know what's going. That for me, I mean, I still think it's brilliant Doctor Who at that particular point, because you just think, I mean, the dawning of. I mean, I knew it. I don't know about you guys that were watching it that night, but that's when I knew they've done it again. They've killed her. She's not getting out of there. And I was more or less on the edge of my seat as a 16-year-old, thinking, now this is the sort of gripping Doctor Who I would have liked all the way through so far.
And that slow-mo, when the Time Lord slow it down time, when Brian Bletter's trying to kill them all, that's incredible. Really nice moment.
And when the TARDIS appears and it's just a white flare and the Doctor walks backwards into it, that's fantastic. And it's so simple to do,
thank you for all your chats. I'm trying to keep up with you. I know I'm not doing a very good job of it, but keep it all going. I am seeing them all. So I just found the treatment of Perry here sadistic. I didn't like it, says Sadeko. And then Dalek Shalom saying Perry chained up on a beach isn't necessarily a turning off point. Steady on, Dalek Shalom. Steady on, you're outrageous. What else we got here?
I mean, going back to what Paul said about you killed Perry. He had like a little lump on his throat when he says it.
He pauses, doesn't he? A brief minute. Oh my god!
He's in deep shock. You go, what? What's happened?
Yeah, Colin doing what he's paid to do, and he's actually giving it a wonderful performance. And this is when you see his Doctor, because you see the Sixth Doctor having his heart broken by his people.
Yeah.
The only people who could possibly do it. You killed Perry.
Yeah.
Amazingly well done, Colin. I mean, it's just a fantastic delivery. You feel his pain. It's fascinating to see the Doctor being brought down cell by cell at this particular point, and it's awful. Now, had they gone for a better ending rather than that tacky 80s zoom in thing, it would have been perfect. But it loses a couple of points for me because of that. So dramatic, Mind Warp, and as I say, it looks great, and the music. I love Richard Hartley's score. I have to say, if you haven't heard all of Richard Hartley's score, you can actually get it on the Tube of Who. Just put in Mind Warp OST, and you can get it, and it's incredible. It's brilliant. It's mysterious. It's dark. It's gothic. It's creepy. It's dangerous. It's amazing. Mark A. Wright saying to us, I actually prefer the brusque, sick Doctor of season 22. The Doctor was very Siegfried Farnan-esque in his fits of pique. I enjoyed him immensely. The season 23 Doctor just comes across as a happy bloke. You know, he's settled into his body by that point, I think. And Core Sci-Fi, thank you so much for your super chat. I found a copy of the Starburst magazine in which Eric Saber went on the warpath. Oh, God, that one. Yeah, the big one that made the papers, do you know? Core Sci-Fi, they picked it up.
Yeah.
They made the papers, and it destroyed John to his dying day. Did they ever make up? No, is the answer to that. And I wonder what both men would make of the current state of play today. Well, you can ask Eric if you ever see him what he thinks about it. I doubt he watches it. I can also hazard a guess that John would, being the person he was, I think he would have loved the original relaunch and he would have done everything around it. I think when a certain person comes along, though, I think he would have had something to say about it all. Me personally, I could be totally wrong. We'll never know. But I get the feeling that John would have loved to see the downfall and the criticism of certain people.
If you watch Eric Sayward in interviews on various Blu-ray extras, he's quite bitchy, isn't he? Allegedly, now and again when he's talking about their relationship and some of J&T's decisions. But it's quite interesting to watch.
Well, they must have got along before that because he was on the show for a long time, you know.
Yeah. I mean, they did, Miles. They worked well together. I don't think they were pally, but they worked well together. And then suddenly, things changed for this.
Wasn't Eric keen to get people like Bob Holmes back, and J&T only wanted new writers, wasn't he? I don't want the old guard. Like
John didn't want anybody that sort of had worked on Doctor Who previously, no, but he made exceptions. He had Terence back once, and he made exceptions for Robert Holmes, of course. There were tensions, and I think it all came to a fore in 1986.
I mean, Philip Martin writing this and Varos was a big name, wasn't it? I mean, I love his Gangsters. Anyone who's ever seen Gangsters, the theme Birmingham back in the 70s, brilliant program, a really surreal and wonderful series to watch. And I only watched it as an adult, not as a kid. But he would have been a big name to write this, wouldn't he? And obviously Varos. And I remember thinking as a kid, I was really pleased to see Seal back and the Mentors, because I like it when you have a Doctor that's got like his monster.
Yeah.
So the things like the Mara with Davison and the Autons with Pertwee, maybe Agador with Pertwee and stuff like that. And
Troughton with the Yeti.
Yeah, Troughton with the Yeti. So you had Colin had his own monster kind of thing with Seal, who was repulsive and horrible and very witty and quite funny. And Nabil played him brilliantly, didn't he? With that laugh and the body language and the fawning over Lord Kiv. I mean, and Christopher Ryan plays really well at Lord Kiv, doesn't he? So I thought they were really good. And I kind of missed how good they were until I watched it.
Better.
Yeah, different version, wasn't it? He's kind of green now rather than brown, isn't he?
Yeah,
that saying this. Mask is better, isn't it?
But some of the guys in the chat are saying this actually about, you know, in Inventions of Varos, he's brown, here he's green. There were reasons why they had to change the suit. The first suit wasn't suitable, as Nabil told us when he came on the show 3 years ago. He said he didn't like the first one; it wasn't comfortable. This one was more flexible for him because
that looks better. That one.
He was in this thing for ages.
Yeah.
And also, I think, if I remember correctly, Graham, I think as well, the original one had been damaged or warped slightly due to it being seen in Blackpool and Longleat.
Hence the new design slightly.
I think it might be. Is that right, Paul? Can you remember?
I vaguely remember something that happened, but I think it was mainly to do with the fact it was more comfortable for Nabil. I think in the end, yeah.
He didn't like that first one at all.
Yeah.
It was just
He's so good. He's
so
so good at Silo. What a wonderful, inspiring
Yeah.
casting. He's brilliant in this.
He's really funny in this as well.
Yeah,
It's
he's
funny.
wonderful
It's
moments.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
a great
still-
scene. It's a great
sorry,
scene when
Glex,
he says to the doctor, "Hello, doctor."
yeah. But again, it's that lovely reference, isn't it, to and that look again, Richard Hartley's music when Syl walks into the room. It's like very regal. I remember being quite worried at that point in episode 5, the first part of mine. I mean, the whole thing. Syl's in control here. This isn't Varos. This isn't another planet. This is Syl, and he's got lots of Syl-like creatures around him.
Yeah,
this is dangerous.
I love the gag that he thinks Perry's revolting as well. That's
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. But,
and the doctor doesn't tell Perry that they're going to Thoros beat and like his home planet.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Because he knows how she will react. No, we bloody aren't. Or she would stay in the TARDIS, which is actually what she should have done in hindsight. Of course. She should have stayed there.
That wonderful shot when you see all the mentors coming along the corridor and then you see Syl. That's beautifully done. And the music works beautifully there as well. It's like a fanfare as the mentors arrive. That really lovely reveal, I think.
What you know, when Kiv and Syl were doing the deal with the mauve purple pterodactyl kind of thing, what's that about? The big lips. It's a funny looking thing, isn't it? It's like a muppet.
well, hey, you never know what other life forms will look like, so don't assume. That scene you mentioned there, Paul, though, about when the Doctor and Perry. I mean, the Doctor he must have been expecting something like this at all, and you can see the glee on the Doctor's face. Colin really go, and Perry's horror. That was her last opportunity to remove herself from this adventure. It's as though I get the feeling from the moment of part 1 from Mysterious Planet. Again, we would take it for granted today because it would be an arc. That's what they would call it, wouldn't it? But everything was stacked up against poor old Perry in this season.
I love all the different alien creatures as well, like Lakoza and then the Rack and all that kind of stuff. I love all those different creatures. It makes it really interesting. Yeah.
Lakoza's quite scary, isn't he? With his big jaw and his big teeth, and it's
His jaw must have got tired though.
Yeah,
he had his mouth open for a lot of it, didn't he?
It's really quite a sympathetic role, isn't it? With Brian, the King of Kronos, he's like saying he was once a warrior, a noble warrior, and he's been who made you like this? Who's made you this? Who's mutated you? And
wasn't that makeup superb though?
Very Island of Dr. Monroe, wasn't it?
But again, it's 1986, and I remember thinking at the time, Lex, not seen this before in Doctor Who. That workmanship there was superb. It was just incredible. I thought, that bit. So everybody's come to the party here, ready to make this the best it could possibly be. That's one thing we've got to say about season 23. Everybody, absolutely everybody, was doing their very best because they all knew this could be the last shout for Doctor Who. Yeah, and it was just
except the courtroom set designers.
Yeah,
they all went on holiday.
Do you know what I like about the setting here?
They
as well,
that in, didn't they?
This was, again, I'm going to say, I'm 16 at this point, so I haven't started going clubbing apart from this silly little thing where, if you were under 18 on a Saturday afternoon, you could go to this little club thing. But it wasn't what I was. I like the lights, the blue lights.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember what the code's got over head now, but apparently those strobe things were all over the clubs in the 80s.
Were they robbed?
They've obviously just nicked them from top of the pops. What?
Were they robbed from top of the pops?
They must have been. But how effective are they? They've been built into the set. They've not been added later on. They've been built in and they're there for a purpose. And I think it works fantastic.
I think visually, mine looks well good. You've got all that Quantel paint box stuff outside. You've got some really good sets. You've got some really good music, like audio sounds as well. And you've got Brian. So what do you want? Flashing lights.
The courtroom. The courtroom, the chairs that the Doctor sits on and Valeyard and the judge, they look like they're from Peddle Mill.
Well, they probably are. Let's face it, they probably are.
I like Linda's thingy, her headdress.
Collar thing.
Yeah, Linda Belling's headdress is nice.
Yeah, I mean, the costumes are wonderful. And Linda Bellingham, God bless her, another name. I mean, when you look at the series as a whole, this had some superb people in it. And Linda Bellingham, she was a lovely actor, Linda Bellingham. I was lucky enough to see her in a play once God, eons ago now, and she just was superb. She was known, of course, as being the Oxo mum.
I should have mentioned
Yeah,
Oxo once in this. I was disappointed, I have to say.
No, but here
Was
she is
the Oxo
showing.
mum here?
What?
Was she the Oxo mum at this point? Because
Yes.
I knew her
Yes,
as
she
the
was.
Oxo
Yeah,
mum.
yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was quite a big star, wasn't she, at the time?
She was.
Like you say.
Yeah,
I remember,
she was.
You know, she was quite, like we were just saying, a lot of really good guest stars. And we've probably not talked. Michael Jaston as a Valliard, a great performance, isn't it? I mean, Michael's always good value, and I think he's really good in this. I mean, to be truthful, imagine somebody else playing that part. It's not a very easy to play because he's got to spout all these ridiculous lines, really. But he just does it so well, and I think we were lucky to have him in this role. Yeah. The lesser actor would have been real, but he plays.
I was never sure about this hat that he wore.
No.
That was just a really weird kind of.
Really, it's just like the High Council.
Yeah,
it's just because it's in this kind of like PVC look about it. It's a bit weird.
He takes it off in the last one, in the Ultimate Foe. He's not got it on. He looks different, doesn't he? I thought, oh no, where's your hat gone? Put your cap back on. He goes.
I quite like the nods. Sorry, Phil.
I just think it looks evil. It's like an evil version of a Time Lord costume.
Well,
he's an evil lawyer.
I like the robes. The robes are great. I have to say, it's a great costume. Yeah.
I love the fact that this is still. It's continual, of course. This is Doctor Who in its 23rd year, so they've got the costumes there. The designers know the looks. They've done the research on what the Time Lords look like, how it should look. They've got that down properly. The Time Lord costumes are used in the jury, and that bit looks fantastic. It's just a shame. By the end of Mind Warp, I'm bored with the trial scenes. You know, and of course I'm also slightly confused. I'm trying to think, right, this is all a lie because the Doctor does not do this, but still not 100% convinced because Colin's just so good at playing it.
Yeah,
it's lucky though because we get to Tether Vervoids, the trial scenes are less intrusive, aren't they? There's less of them. It seems there's more of a story being run of the Vervoids than there is previously.
I think that's down to Pip and Jane. Now, I know Pip and Jane Baker get a lot of love, hate. I don't like that word hate because it's used all the time now, but it's what we used to say because it was used in.
They get criticised a lot, shall we say that?
Yeah. But when it comes to Terror of the Vervoids, they deliver a solid. I remember JNT saying, guys, in the newsletter and possibly even in the magazine, he said this is an Agatha Christie in space, and that's what they were asked to write. And by God, they deliver it.
Yeah.
I love the Megarians in this. I think it looks superb with the translators and stuff. That works really well. Yeah.
Again, that was new for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Go on, Miles.
They're a bit R2D2 like, and the voice is very good with the phaser effect on it.
It's brilliant.
And when they remove the faceplate, then you can see the alien behind it, and it looks.
When they take the faceplate off, Miles, I'm a bit disappointed they're not that more exciting. You know what I mean? Just all they have is a grey face and a thing for them, like a vent for a mouth. It's just really weird. You know.
Budget, Paul. Budget.
Yeah. I wish they were more alien looking. Even like I don't know, something like the creature of Master Plan with the spots or something. You know, something more interesting. You know, but
again. This was new for Doctor Who. We hadn't quite seen this. And I remember thinking, I am damn clever. Because that point, that important plot point where he doesn't switch the communicator in, I noticed, and do you know what? I noticed this, Who viewers, on the night of broadcast, and I went, they should have edited that, or they should have reshot that because that guy didn't do it. He didn't put it. And then later on, I went, oh, well, at least I spotted it.
Bad continuity,
But Vervoids is out of the stories. It's probably the most traditional Doctor Who story.
Yes, it is.
Which is welcome at the time, and it's a cracking story of a proper traditional Doctor Who monster. It is a whodunit in space. Loads to like on it. I'd probably go and say probably my favourite of the four, probably. Only because Mind Warp is entertaining, but I don't quite understand what's happening half the time. But this is more easy to understand, but again, it's complicated. It's got lots of little red herrings in it, isn't it, Vervoid? So you've got to really follow it. Does anybody think that I usually am a fan of watching one episode at a time and spacing it out, but over the last couple of days I've watched all of this in the space of I watched like all of Mysterious Planet, then all of Mind Warp, then all of Vervoids, and I actually enjoyed it more because there's such a lot to take in. So if you, I mean, back in the day, back in '86, of course, we had a month, didn't we, between like episode 1 of Vervoids and episode 4. So you're forgetting what happened at episode 1 because you know, if you didn't have a VHS, you'd be thinking, well, what was happening then? And what was it about sleepers they want about in the first story? And wow.
Well, this is the other thing it's preempting modern Doctor Who by decades, because you have to, if for some stories you had to concentrate, especially when Stephen Moffat comes along, you had to think about what was going on. This was again new for Doctor Who, because the Trial of a Time Lord, we knew it was 14 episodes, we knew there were 4 stories within it, but you had to concentrate on what was going on. And that's where I think some of the repetition of the court scenes come in, because they've got to actually remind the audience. The importance of the court scene is you've got to remind the audience, whether it's diehard fans like us or it's the not-wees, you've got to remind them as what's going on. You've got to remind them about this plot. There's a lot of exposition that comes in from this particular point, because you have to have it, because it's 14 weeks.
Yeah. Has anyone watched the Ted of Vervoids edited version they did for the Blu-ray, and it cuts out the child scenes, and it's really good, works really well.
Oh, I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it's really good.
I've got it, but I have to watch that.
What were you saying, Phil?
No, I was saying it's a good point. I hadn't actually, because I've never consumed Classic Who in a weekly way before, and it's a good point that actually the courtroom scenes constantly kind of do remind you what's happening, and probably over that 3 months of the original broadcast, you probably need it.
You have to have it at the very beginning. I don't know if it's on any of the Blu-rays or whatever, but this was the first series of Doctor Who that started to get a recap from the announcer before the titles came in, because that's what they did with 14-week series, and Doctor Who was a 14-week series. It was drama, so they had to have that. So I think that started happening from around about series 2 or episode 2 or 3, where you had this little recap. They were bloody boring. I know who wrote them as well, and they were terrible.
Imagine Mind Warp episode 4.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, well, Perry's bold, and then like Brian Blessed was shouting again, and then Syl in it. Syl was in it for a minute, and the sky's pink.
Here's another bit here. Another point here from Daniel in the chat. The Megarians playing Space Invaders again. Daniel. That was brand new for Doctor Who, and it looked damn good in 1986. You think, there's a bit of Star Wars coming into it. You know, everything looked okay. Everything looked okay.
Do you know what I thought was quite a good? Sorry, Paul, in Vervoid, just quickly. I quite like the fact that the Commodore guy knows the Doctor. You haven't got all that rubbish about.
Again, you've got that stuff.
You know, just crack on. He knows him. Knows he's not a baddie. He's gonna help. And this chap here, you know, he's takes it
Michael Craig.
And it's just quite.
He's still alive today. He's 97.
Is he?
Wow. Michael Craig, of course, everybody, was another big name, especially on the BBC. I knew him from Triangle with Kate O'Mara, which I loved in that first year. I adored Triangle. Larry Lamb was in it as well. Great.
He was in an episode of Professionals, I remember.
He was. Well, he was around all the time. I mean, again,
he was a film star, wasn't he, as well?
So was Honor Blackman from the Avengers, Bond. I mean, this again, you had 2 huge names in this. I mean, John really went for it, didn't he? He really went. He reached for his showbiz contact book and said, "Who the hell can I get into it? Who can I get into this to give?" Because John was obviously trying to play the press to say names to get the exposure. It didn't really work for him, unfortunately, but they were there. And it was a big selling point. You've got Joan Sims, you've got Honor Blackman, you've got Michael Craig, you've got Brian Blessed, you've got Michael Jason, you've got Linda Bellingham.
Arthur
Jeffrey Hughes.
Arthur Hewlett was good. It was good in it as well.
Yeah, he was in.
He had a story about
Moondale, wasn't
he? He did his death scene.
But when I first saw it, Honor Blackman was on the telly for years in The Upper Hand, so I knew who she was.
Yeah.
Right.
I was trying to think what that 90s sitcom was that she was in.
With Joe McGann.
That was a McGann boy. Yeah. Lex, what's your story about Arthur?
With his death scene, he was, the one where he's just lying there like that. They actually thought he was dead. And he said, Arthur, I think he's dead. He said, I must have dozed off.
Oh, bless him. Arthur Hewlett, again, another huge name from the past, and another coup for them to have, and such a gentle soul who played a gentle soul. But it is Vervoids is very enjoyable from memory as well, because it is a whodunit, and it's quite exciting about that, because you start to think, well, who the hell is behind this? Because they're all getting bumped off. The other thing I like, of course, I do quite like the Vervoids, and I like the fact this is a story you could do today. with today's effects and stuff, but you could still take it. The plants are taking better. These vervoids are getting at humankind. I love the way that they put everything on a compost heap.
Yes,
and there are times now, or there's been times when I've been in my garden when I can do my gardening, and I have a compost heap, and all I can think of is vervoids.
The thing about the vervoids for me is, I wish they were more crinoid-like, because it's very obviously a man in a suit.
Yeah.
And at one point, when they die, you can see his tracky bottoms, and the tie around his waist, so it's a little bit,
They wouldn't need to do much for a redesign if they brought them back.
No, they wouldn't, Miles. No, if you redesigned it now, they would be very, very good, and you could do them. You could do them properly.
Yeah. But also a bit rude as well. Maybe just me. But
That's what Daniel's saying.
It is just you, Paul. Can you explain to the class?
Yeah. Do you know there was a story? I don't know if you know about this, but there was a story where I think it was Doctor Who Monthly magazine, whatever it was at this particular point. A cover was vetoed with a vervoid on. By W.H. Smith. He said, no, that's not going on our shelves.
Let's put it this way, Phil. You'd have put in a brown wrapper on the top shelf. That's what we're doing.
Now, this is interesting because we're going to come to this now. Let's talk about it, because Terror of the Vervoids, of course, was infamous because it introduced Bonnie Langford as Mel. Now, a lot of us have now grown to love Mel. I was actually... I remember when it was announced at the beginning of 86 that Bonnie was coming into Doctor Who. I knew what was going on at this point. This again was John. I'm 16. I wasn't stupid, and you just know it. And she was there to try and get a certain demographic into the show, because Bonnie was she was so popular, And here we are with this. It's an interesting one because the Doctor decides in his case he's going to look at a story from his future, a part of his future. As you were saying, guys, it was obviously going to be another companion for him at the future. I just remember thinking that's interesting that they've gone for the future side of it, because after coming after Perry, there's lots of questions there. Lots of we didn't get the resolve to those questions anyway. But here we go with Bonnie, and Bonnie arrives into this. And Mark A. Wright is saying to us, I would have liked to have seen more with Colin and Bonnie. Mel had an affectionate, condescending tone with the Sixth Doctor that made for a nice dynamic. Again, it's one of those things we'll never know, because had Colin stayed on for season 24, we would have got a completely different relationship with Colin and Bonnie.
Yeah. My only objection to Mel is the fact that they kind of pandered to this kind of idea of what Bonnie Langford was like. And she's a much better actor than she gets credit for in this, and you can see later on in EastEnders and stuff like that, she's really, really good. But they kind of we got a cliched version of Bonnie Langford in this, didn't we? Let's be honest.
It's terrible. I mean, again, she says now, doesn't she? She's very open against it. I didn't get any direction. We had to do it. You were told where to stand. I was told where to scream. You had to do this. You had to do that. You went home. You came back the next day. You did the same thing. You went home. You came back the next day. So that was the pressures of television then, the pressures of BBC. And she always bemoans the fact, of course, that, and she's quite right, she was meant to be a computer programmer. But we didn't get any of it, did we? We didn't get any of that at all, really, and it's such a shame. Here's Colin and Bonnie in the part of the space station set, and as you can see, it has nicked things from Saturday Superstore. If you remember that, they've just been painted white.
Carrot juice. Yeah,
terrible stuff. Terrible. But the fact is, as well, what grates me to this day, and it's a shame that Bonnie came back to Doctor Who when it was in its dying days again.
Yeah,
bad luck, Bonnie. But we love you.
She's a right Jonah, isn't she? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I love Bonnie. I absolutely love her, and she's such a professional. And she just goes, and she's never out of work. She's been working for 50 years, something like that. But they went for that element of the fitness freak thing, and I couldn't stand that. I couldn't. I mean, this was so 80s. It was John, I think, personally grasping at straws to build a character. They should have left building Mel to the script editor and a writer. But he had to say, oh no, she's going to be this and she's going to be that. And this really annoyed me. And again, going back to the music, especially to Miles here, you can see the difference suddenly between the soundtrack coming from Dominic Richard and then going to the traditional radiophonic workshop clumpiness by Malcolm Clarke. There is a massive difference here, and I don't really like this particular score for Vervoids.
It's my least favorite of Malcolm Clarke's scores. I think what he's trying to do is use the digital synths that they had at that time and try to make them sound like the old analog synths that he was using in Earthshock and in Resurrection of the Daleks and stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds very like computer gamey. It doesn't sound right. It's the sequence for the Vervoids where there's that POV for the Vervoids with the green around it. That's kind of like a sound effect. That works. It's just a wood block with loads of reverb.
Yes,
That
it's good.
works. But the rest of it is kind of
Clumpy.
It very well. Yeah. I like the pads when they're going into the black hole of Tartarus. I like the pad sounds, but that's about it.
Yeah.
There's some really good cliffhangers in this story as well. The first episode cliffhanger there's that, when they go into the hydroponic center bit and they all start appearing is great, and then the bit with the half human Vervoid is lovely, and then the black hole of Tartarus is great. Unfortunately, the special effects don't live up to the opening of part 1 of Trial of a Time Lord, do they? They're all a bit,
it's more traditional again, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the CSO, it's the model, it's all that sort of, because they spent all the bloody money for the season on the space station.
Yeah.
And
because when the repeat sections of that, it really shows it up, doesn't it? The repeat little bits of it. But
there was animatronics in Ruth Baxter's face. It was kind of the motion.
That was great.
That was very
That was really good.
Good.
And it's just, well, I don't even know if it was that. I remember someone telling me late 80s, early 90s that how they did it was they put this prop, as it were, this bit of makeup on, which was attached to a foot pump, as it were.
Just pump it.
So that's easy to do. And that wouldn't be.
But very effective though.
It's probably the same thing they did for Stengos in Revelation. I think that kind of brain twitching thing, same kind of idea.
Yeah, that was the same thing. The year later.
Yeah.
John Mason saying Bonnie was the beginning of the end. Darren saying Bonnie has said that she wasn't capable of doing a non-theatrical performance at the time, but I think she's pretty good in this story and very likable. Mel loves being in the TARDIS. It's refreshing. Now, I'll give her that. I remember John saying at the time, Graham and Paul, you might remember this. Nathan Turner was saying at the time, Mel is the first UK companion the Doctor has had for so many years. You're about to find out why.
He made a thing about that, didn't he? About the fact
did.
It was, from the United Kingdom. Just quickly talking to Bonnie, just before you go, before we go off subject. At the Riverside things that I sometimes go to for the Doctor Who things, they show the shows there. Bonnie was scheduled to come, but she was doing Paddington, the show at the West End, and apparently she quickly finished her show at Paddington and made her way across to Hammersmith so she could meet the people at the Doctor Who thing, which I thought was quite nice, and appear on stage and talk to us about her time in the show. And like JT said, she said back in the 80s, it was just time was against, and there's no guidance. It was like JT, exactly what you said, what almost word for word what she said at the Riverside compared to the newer stuff where you had all the time and the money. But the fact that she bothered to come from Paddington across London on a Sunday afternoon to appear.
Bonnie's lovely.
It was very nice for her to do that, really.
I've got a story about me and Bonnie in Bromptons back in the day in London, but we'll save that for another show. Bonnie is a great screamer, says Rory Stanage.
She is.
Zach Whitten. Hiya, Zach. Bonnie was great in EastEnders. I never knew she had such range. Now, that's where she reinvented herself by going into EastEnders, and she was so popular they extended her contract, which is great for Bonnie. But as I say, she's never been out of work, and she's very. If you saw her in Peter Pan or if you see her in Paddington now, I think she finishes in February with that. I think, you see her. But again, Paul, I think direction here was lack.
I was going to say, you guys who saw it originally remember, others have maybe seen it as well, those incredibly bad publicity photographs of Colin and Bonnie, Peter Pan. She's dressed as Peter Pan. And he's on the Kirby wire, looking very uncomfortable.
I've seen that,
Colin was not happy about that.
Because I remember when she was cast, there was an awful lot of negativity, wasn't there, about her casting, because everyone said that didn't Eric Saywood come out and say he didn't want her and
yes,
all
he did.
That, and
and by this point he didn't want Colin Baker either.
No, he didn't want either, did he?
I don't know what exactly. I've never got to the bottom of it, and every time Colin Baker's in front of me, Phil, I chicken out asking him. Because he's a big man, Colin, and he could whap me. But I don't know. I just don't know why Eric had beef with Colin or his performance or whatever it was. I don't know.
He was quite vocal, wasn't he? In calling.
Yeah, it was in the Starburst thing that one of the guys mentioned.
Yeah, the Starburst
shocking.
It was shocking, wasn't it?
Shocking.
I mean, it was really, really quite damning, wasn't it?
And it was all around about this time that was published. Hello to Mordrin Brown Bread in the chat, who says to us, with a little rejigging, Mel or Janet could have been combined, making this Mel's first meeting with the Doctor. Apart from the fact, Mordrin Brown Bread, that a certain producer had an entire story lined up at some point to explain where Mel comes into it. It was involving the Master, who was trying to take over the banks of the world or something, and that's where the Doctor comes in, and Mel's there as a computer programmer. So because of that, and it never happened. Gary Russell had a go at it in a novel called Business Unusual, I seem to recall, years later, as part of the BBC Missing Doctors range. So again, continuity. And hello to Lee Patton. It's good to see you, Lee. The story had Yolande Palfrey as Janet the stewardess. I had such a crush on her. She is a very pretty lady, isn't she?
I like the scene where the crewman goes to Janet. You make a really nice coffee. Only if you knew that he was going to die in the end of the episode.
Well, again, that was one of these little pits that Pip and Jada put in, wasn't it? Because you make a nice coffee.
There was something made me laugh though when she's going around giving out the little biscuits, and she goes to the Mogarians like you want. No, it's like how do you eat it through that thing? I'm not quite sure. Yeah,
push it through the grill.
Like that, just grate it through.
Life finds a way.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
the
cake finds a way. That's right. Yeah.
So, sorry, Miles.
Was this Chris Clough's first one for director?
Yes.
Yes, it was. Yes, a lot of the cast, he was after coming off Brookside, wasn't he? And there's some of the cast in this that are main characters in Brookside. Tom
Hallett, he's one, isn't he? I think. Yeah.
Yes. That's right. Yeah. Ron Jones was the only returning director in this season. Yeah, the other two, Nick and Chris, were new to the show. So yeah, it was a part of that trying to find a fresh look for it, I think. Thanks for that, Lee. We've got Rich Brooks saying to us, Mel is very likable because Bonnie gives us a sweet and kind performance. Again, it is a different one.
Yeah,
and that's fresh. That's why it was refreshing. And she was refreshing. She was different. Yes, I know John got her to scream. That wasn't Bonnie's decision. That was John. John got her to scream
in the key of the theme as well.
I mean, that was one of the things, guys. I'll tell you this now. That was one of the things when I met him when I was talking to him towards the end of his life. He had so many regrets. I've said it before on the channel. And one of the regrets was getting Bonnie to scream all the time. You know, he had so many regrets. Good, Gray, it's good to see you. Her performance is too much. It's not helped by the poor scripted characterization. I wasn't a fan. Funky says that the Bonnie made the Doctor regenerate via carrot juice and exercise bike. The Rani had nothing to do with it.
I think he had a heart attack in the exercise bike. That's what they did. I think.
Yeah. Daniel Cox saying to us that Malcolm Clark's music is very plodding. Yeah, but for me as well, it stands out because you've just come from some fantastic fresh stuff from Dominic Glynn and Richard Hartley, and then you've got traditional at this point. It's a shame.
This was his last one, wasn't it? Malcolm Clark's last one.
It was his last one. Yeah. And Darren79 saying it's the final BBC Radiophonic Workshop television. It's asking for a conventional score from Malcolm Clark, and it's so not him. That's true. It's true. It's just, as Mel said, it plods. Synth John, good to see you. For me, Mel was such a drastic departure from Perry, and I never warmed to her. We didn't really get a chance to either because she was only there for several stories, and they weren't, developing her in any way.
It is kind of strange, and the way she leaves in Dragonfire is kind of strange as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, which ties in with the Trial of a Time Lord because everything is weird and off kilt. They spent all the money of season 23 on the model of the space station and the filming of that, says Zach. They did. And Raymond Williams, season 23 is my least favorite of the classic series. Oh, bless you. It's still Marmite, this particular one. Julianne, hello Julianne. Bonnie Langford is just told to squeam until she's sick. I don't know why they just didn't call her Violet Elizabeth instead of Mel. Bonnie deserves much better. And it's just a shame that they brought her back in towards the dying days of the reboot.
Yeah.
Brought her back during Tennant or Smith or even Capaldi. She would have flown. It's a shame. Yeah. What's that noise? Who's looking at something?
It's me fiddling with a piece of paper. I do apologize.
Oh, okay, right, okay. Philip Shaw is saying it was Mel's fault the Sixth Doctor regenerated. excessive carrot juice and fitness regime, probably had a heart attack. And Janet was the most dangerous person on the ship, said Funky.
I remember when I watched this back in '86, thinking Janet was going to be the villain because she's a pretty little girl, and I thought she's going to be her. She's going to be behind it all, and I had it in my head that definitely going to be Janet, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
That was wrong.
It was a good twist, wasn't it? Having 3 villains.
Yeah.
I thought you went on a Blackman because she was the kind of main star, of the 3. You could have been the villain,
You like her reading her book, Paul, Murder on the Orient Express, when you see him.
Yeah. So
first thing, it's quite neat, wasn't it? Yeah.
On a Blackman again, though, I get the feeling again that not as bad as Joan, but she's basically going through the motions here, isn't she? Really, she's doing. I mean, as I say, it does run through a lot of these appearances, whether they're names or not, where they just think it's Doctor Who. This is how I have to play.
I'll do it for my kids or grandchildren. That
sort of stuff. There's an assumption, and I again, the direction for me is not tight enough. One of the things I do like about the Vervoid, apart from the Vervoids, I just think it would lighting. The Vervoids look better in that red-green set.
And
I think the lighting should be taken down again. Yeah, the hydroponic center, Miles. I think that should have all been. The BBC and its lighting, they
look good in there. I'll tell you what I did like. I did quite like when they get killed, the way it's done, the way the
Bionasium,
that's quite a neat effect. I thought was quite good.
It's episode. Where are we up to? Where's the end of Vervoids? 10?
12.
12, yeah.
12, yeah. 12, yeah.
Yeah, 12, right. So the end of I just thought, when's this going to end at the end of Terror of the Vervoids? Because you have that whole thing with the Valyard going off again to say,
we're going to change the charge. We're just willy-nilly. Let's do that.
Exactly.
Genocide now.
By Malcolm Clark and the zoom into Clark. And I literally at that point remember thinking, how long is this going to go on? Now they're going to try and get him for genocide. And we're probably going to get a rerun of Genesis of the Daleks or something. I was just, at that point, guys, I have to admit, I was done. I was fried. I was fed up.
I like at the end though. I like when the Doctor and Mel go into the TARDIS and it's just Janet and the Commodore, and he says to the Doctor, "Let's make this a final farewell."
Yes.
Don't come back.
No, it was just the trial scene for me that finished that. I mean, had they finished the Terror of the Vervoid thing, but no, they have to go back to the trial scene, and then the Vervoid says, the Valyard says all that, and I just think, I remember, honestly, I thought I can't be done anymore. So it's a great surprise. When that didn't necessarily get picked up the week after, Paul, and it's a fresh story again, with a lovely opening again, with Dominic Glynn's excellent opening music again, as we're taken back to that bloody space station, sets the scene again, and you're thinking, right, we've had the stories we've been told, we've had the past, the present, the future. Now what happens?
Who didn't? I didn't see this coming. That the Valyard was in fact a future version of the Doctor. I mean that's a complete surprise to me. I had no idea, no idea at all.
No.
As a lovely moment when the Doctor said, "You called him the Doctor." That's incredible.
I love the way, Paul. That it's understated, isn't it? That the Master casually mentions it, and what did he say? What did he say? And I don't think at the time there was any rumor, was there? It was we didn't have any idea it was coming.
No, it was no.
It was a brilliant surprise.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah,
it was a horrific surprise. I mean, the first thing you get is we knew Anthony Ainley was back in this. We knew that, and you knew it was going to crop up in these 2 episodes somewhere. It was just a question of how and where. I love the fact that Ant is sitting there on one of the little twirly chairs, like I am now. And he's loving every minute of it. And it's basically, he's the viewer and he says, I've been enjoying myself immensely. I love that. It's just fab. And I'm thinking at the time, well, I'm glad you have, mate. It's really, really good.
Then the Doctor gives his speech then, which is just speech.
But
if I might intercede.
The whole thing about the Master revealing the identity of the Valyard fits perfectly because he loves every second of it. He's
loving it.
Head of the Doctor. He knows more than the Doctor. And the Master loves it, and he knows what's true and what's not true, and what's going on and what's not really going on. He's sitting inside the Matrix, so he shakes the Time Lords up. The Master's been in the Matrix since the Deadly Assassin. Let's face it.
He looks like he's on a ZX Spectrum loading screen.
It's interesting now, though. You can physically penetrate the Matrix. You don't have to go into like go into a computer. You can physically go into it, which I thought was an interesting twist on it. Actually,
it is. But that important scene. we must have all been that night
Oh yeah.
stunned by this revelation. Now, this, I think, 1986, again, how brave of the production team was this to say, we're going to bring a future incarnation of the Doctor into his life, but we're going to do it with a twist. This was an amalgamation of his darker thoughts, somewhere between his
very good
12th and final regeneration.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take away Stephen Moffat, Chris Chibnall, take note. It didn't take away or mess with the numbering of the Doctor. This was an extra.
No.
And you know, to this day, I have to tell you, Who viewers, to this day, it pisses me off that every time we now have a lineup of the Doctor, Michael Jaston is not there, and yet you've got Whittaker, you've got Joe Martin, you've got John Hurt. And do you know why I think that's about, guys? Because it's another white bloke.
What I like about the Valyard when he gets found out that he's, you know, the dark version of the Doctor, his face changes. And you're thinking, I've been found out here. I better do something. I better get out of here quick.
He's fuming as well, which is lovely. I love that.
It's like he does that face like, what do I do? It's like
a lot of you in the chat are reminiscent about this now. Because Grace saying, I remember my jaw hitting the floor when the Valyard's true identity is revealed. It's a brilliant moment. And I love the Ultimate Foe segment. It's a great turn of events. Lee Patton saying to us, the revelation of the Valyard's identity was a real jaw dropper for me. So I wasn't alone. Legion of James, to me, the concept of the Valyard has never worked for me. As some sort of glitch in a regeneration from the future, which is just all the Doctor's bad traits, it didn't work for me at all. Oh, bless you. Okay then, mate. Yeah, no worries.
By generation, isn't it?
Oh, stop it. Stop it. God. I remember thinking when we suddenly realized in that Time of the Doctor story, I remember thinking, are they going to just do a little spoof of energy going off that way to explain the Valyard? Missed opportunity, I think. Darren79, Ainley's best performance since 5 Doctors, properly characterized for once. He needs other characters to bounce off rather than talking to himself. It's a shame it went well tits up for him, though, in the next episode, isn't it? The last episode. Chris Kars is saying the cliffhanger to episode 13 on the beach is really well done. I love seeing how they did that. I was fascinated with it back in the day, and I just thought, poor old Colin, he suffered for his art.
It's a really creepy, all the hands coming up and trying to get them down. That works really well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What I like about when the trial, where the Doctor says, he can't put me on trial because he's me.
Yeah. Good point.
That's a great point, though.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And the poor old Inquisitor is so flustered because she can't take this revelation in. Surely in Gallifreyan law, surely the same person can't be both prosecutor and defender. And she's processing all this. The poor thing, and Linda gets it right. She's like, she's composed, the posture's correct, she's still trying to be the Inquisitor, and she's going, bloody hell.
Well, that may be so, but we're going to carry on.
Does anyone want to be crazy?
Of this thing.
The first episode of this also brings Savalon Glitz back, which was quite a thing, wasn't it, as well? Because we weren't used to getting characters from a previous story. Although this was one story, but this was right back at the beginning of the story. Or to get a character to come back was like, oh, this is a bit different.
Nice,
you could get him back again. It was quite nice to see him back.
This is why I think Graham now, with my older and wiser head, he says, I think that people like Miles and Kirsty and Emilio and that young generation who are discovering Trial of the Time Lord right now, I think it's because the Trial of a Time Lord, and love me or hate me for this, Who viewers, is more akin to television today.
Yeah.
Because of all these little twists and plots. It's one big sort of umbrella story. It's got all these little things in it. It's got ups and... Do you know what I mean? The story
had it,
is...
have we? But not really.
I mean, it was new for us.
Yeah.
Because I still, to this day, would have preferred them to come back with 4 separate stories.
Yeah.
Like they did the year after and the year after and the year after. But I mean, Miles, you discovered this. Phil, you've discovered this. Do you see what I'm saying about that? As newer audience coming to this to think, because television today, as I've been saying throughout the show, is very much based on continuity, the twist, do you know what I mean? It's one big long story over 8-hour episodes these days.
Yeah, but over the course of the 26 years, this is the first time we get this. So that's why I enjoyed it. It's different from season 22. It's different from anything that's gone before. And I enjoy it. I even like the courtroom scenes as well. Because it's something different. I always stick this on and I watch the whole lot of it together because there's no point stopping halfway through. I just want to see the whole lot of it together, you know.
Yeah. The best bit with Glitz is funny where he's in the courtroom and he's like a bit of Delboy. He goes, I know someone who want to buy that off you, you know, and all this.
Yeah.
And the doctor goes, Glitz, I need to have a word with you right now, you know, for the court, you know, the evidence. And he says, oh yeah, okay.
And Lex, when the master's trying to hypnotise him, he says, "I wonder how many drops it's worth," doesn't he?
yeah. Doesn't work on him.
Unfortunately, we do get the now annual pin to the wall of the TARDIS scene, which is the biggest cop out, I think, in Doctor Who history. Really, I mean, it happened in Mark and the Rani, and it's happened in Planet of Fire, I think, or wherever it did. It was now sort of familiar way of writing things out, and I just didn't get that. I loved Glitz's interactions with the Inquisitor, says FJ Canal. Yes, cheeky thing, wasn't he? Oh, that's the beak.
Glitz is just refreshing in it, isn't he?
He is.
He's fun. He's a lighter character. He's a bit wow, a bit, and yeah,
he's a lad.
I mean, that's really kind of staid Time Lords.
Totally.
Yeah, you're right, Phil. We needed a bit more, didn't we? And he provides it.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, Tony Selby's so good at that kind of a role. You fully believe in him. And he does bring a little bit of a light touch. Although I remember as a kid when I watched it, as a 16-year-old, I didn't know, do I trust him? Is he really on the doctor's side? Is he working for the master?
Well, you're not supposed to, are you?
Yeah, I didn't know.
That's half the fun. Yeah.
That's half the fun, because you're not. And he does the dirty on the doctor several times, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Now, I have to agree with Darren here. And it shows how, Darren, it shows what we're like. Yeah. When John Hurt popped up at the end of Name of the Doctor, for one brief moment, I was excited because I thought it was Michael Jaston. And then I was disappointed because it was John. I was with you. I thought, oh my God, they've gone and done it. It's Michael Jaston. And then it turns around and I went, oh, it's John Hurt. You know, I was just like, for a minute, guys, I actually did think with Darren, I did think they've gone and acknowledged this.
That would have been great. It would
have suited the 50th anniversary year.
Yeah.
You know, you could have brought Michael Jaston, even at his age at that point, still a cracking actor, still physical at that point. He would have made a big baddie in the Day of the Doctor, the Doctor's future self.
To be truthful, it's actually not until you think about it. When you think about the Valiard, not many villains. 14 episodes. That's quite a lengthy.
Yes.
Right up there as a high level villain, isn't he? 14 episodes of Doctor Who.
And do you know what, Graham? He's hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. He's been there since day one.
But his performance in this he's wonderful in this. He's really good, really strong performance. I love him in this.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Thank you for all your chats here. Avon Ascent was Glitz is a geezer, innit? He is, and that's how he was told to do it, and that's how he did it. Tony Selby was good at that stuff, wasn't he? Because that was his background as well. But he was brilliant, and he's it's just nice. It's just nice to see him.
Well, what I like about the Valiard is in those courtroom scenes before he's revealed as the dark version of the Doctor. You now see it in new eyes that he's arguing with himself
all the way through. There is a certain brilliance to it, Lex.
Yeah.
You know, you look at it now, knowing who he is, and it changes the whole structure. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I'll tell you what I found when I watched it recently again. I don't be honest. As the Ultimate Foe, the 2 episodes progress, it is completely way out, isn't it? It's very, very surreal. Lots of weird stuff going on. Did anybody else think it was a bit like The Prisoner, the last episode of The Prisoner?
It felt like the Outer Limits to me and Twilight Zone.
To me, I'd never seen The Prisoner at this point. Okay, I still haven't seen it. I've only seen bits since there. Yeah. I mean, you know, for me, it made perfect sense, especially that bit as we've just shown there with the fun fraction of that, because we'd been to the Matrix before and the Deadly Assassin. So I was basing the Matrix on my experience with the Deadly Assassin. So I knew once in the Matrix, you couldn't trust a thing. The hands coming out of the barrel and grabbing the Doctor. Typical of what I thought was going to go on. And it's great that we got Robert Holmes writing a really solid episode 12, sorry, because he knew the Matrix and he plays on it again. I mean, even the things of London Bridge is falling down and all that, so it's spooky.
Oh yeah, and it's all set at night as well, which is brilliant. The night shoot and that the potteries, they're really good. The location's superb as well. It works really well. Yeah,
it would have been nicer to not have it on video though, eh?
Yeah. What I've heard, I just only heard it this afternoon. You hear someone gets his name mentioned. in the Matrix.
Who?
Solomon Glitz.
Oh
Solomon
yeah,
Glitz.
yeah, it gets called.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
gets called.
Yeah, and he's
Because
going,
the
"Who's
master's
calling
in
me?"
control.
Yeah.
The master's in control of it, so he can do
Yeah.
they can do all that. But the Doctor's been there before; he knows what's going on. I want to talk about Jeff Hughes, another name,
Yeah.
another name as the various incarnations of Popelwick, and then of course it turns out he's the Valyard, who's the Doctor. So it's very layered.
It's all over the place, isn't it? But it's
It makes sense. Do you not think it makes a sort of weird sense? I mean, the Doctor says, doesn't he, when he reveals who Popelwick is? You know, he's always been theatrical, basically. You know, he wouldn't have been able to pass it up. It's a great. I love the fact that the Doctor, our Doctor, the Sixth Doctor, is not fazed by the fact that his future incarnation is a bit of a toad.
I love the bureaucracy part. They're trying to get an appointment to see him before he gets that. Oh, that's all that bureaucracy.
Have you got an
brilliant, very
appointment,
funny,
sir? Have you got an appointment, sir?
It's a wonderful scene, and again, it's Robert Holmes, and he wasn't well. But by God, he still managed to give us what I think is a really good dark episode. I remember thinking, this is it. This is good stuff. Where's this going?
Good point.
Fantastic scene is when the Doctor necronizes his writing and he sees all these Time Lord names.
Oh yeah.
In my handwriting.
Our handwriting.
Yeah. But again, I mean, it just shows the Doctor at this particular point. He's still young. He's only in his 6th incarnation, but he's so used to bumping into other versions of himself. It doesn't faze him at all. It's all in a day, isn't it? This one just happens to be a bit darker, you know, and he's not fazed by that either because he knows he has a dark side. It's just that this one is turned into an embodiment. I think that's a fantastic Doctor Who idea.
Yeah.
And this is the first time he mentions in this story arc, right through the 14 episodes, that he's 900 years old. That that becomes a bit, because the 7th Doctor is 953, therefore making Colin Baker the longest running Doctor out of them all.
Well, according to Colin, he never regenerated officially. He's still the Doctor, didn't he?
He's still the Doctor.
David Tennant comes along though. David Tennant's only 903. He said,
they mucked it up. They mucked it up in the modern series.
Well, we get to a certain age, you lie about your age after a time, don't you?
I remember when there was a US convention. They showed a video on YouTube from the 90s, and you see Colin coming and seeing. He says, and the screen goes all static, and he says, "You wanted the regeneration, didn't you?" And here's Sylvester.
That's right. I remember that. There was a lot of hassle here. So over these last 2 episodes, we were blissfully unaware at the time, weren't we, what was going on? So it's interesting when you find out what was happening at the time. And Darren79 saying to us, Holmes never got around to storylining the Part 14. Saward invited it on his own. Yeah, because unfortunately we lost Robert Holmes at this point, one of the greatest actors in Doctor Who history to this day. And he passed on. And do you remember the show was definitely in production, and the news came through, and it was just unbelievable, actually. When it...
I mean, for our age group, you know, Bob Holmes had written so many great classic stories, and by the time you're 15, 16 or whatever, you know who wrote what story. You know he wrote you know, when his name came up at the you know, in the Radio Times or in the Doctor Who Monthly, you just knew you were going to have almost certainly a really good story. Always going to be great characterization, great dialogue. And like you say, JT, even the poor chap must have been so sick. He did pass quite shortly, didn't he, after writing this particular episode?
He did. Well,
But equally, the task for John must have been dreadful, because what does he do? Because Eric's, by now, the Eric relationship
Eric's gone,
up, isn't it? What on earth? It must have been chaos. And he's got, this is an episode that's got to wrap up arguably one of the most important seasons in Doctor Who's history. And he's got to make sense of it all. It must have been an absolute nightmare. And for Pip and Jane to do it under so much pressure, tie it all up to even anything resembling a coherent ending is a remarkable achievement.
It really is.
There's room for improvement, of course there is, but it would have been almost impossible to work like that, I would have thought.
Now that we know this, the difficult circumstances they had to write in, and of course they had a lawyer at the time as well in the BBC offices, so that John was under, you know, he couldn't tell them anything about what was originally happening in the original 14.
Imagine.
You can't do that. So they had to go and look at everything that had gone up, and they had, as you say, they had to tie it up. That's a nightmare. And I think, knowing what we do now, we were bloody lucky, and we actually got quite a good 14, and the BBC allowed it to be extended, don't forget.
Yes, but 30 minutes long, isn't it? I think. Yeah. It's
First
lucky as
time
good as it is, to be honest. You're right. Yeah.
Totally.
Could be a
I
lot
mean,
worse
it's a
for you, couldn't
nightmare. Yeah, I mean, they had to introduce the Valyard was the doctor. They must have loved that concept.
Yeah.
They had to bring in. They had to finish all the elements that have been set up over 12 weeks. Can you imagine having to do that? And you've got 48 hours or so to do it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? It's almost impossible, isn't it? Almost impossible.
Do we know they had the template of his original idea?
You can actually find it now on various places. The guys in the chat will know where it is. I've never looked because I don't think it's any of my business to go and look, but you can if you can. All I know is that John had made it very clear that Eric's original ending for 14 was to have the Doctor and the Valyard falling down some sort of black hole or time black hole or something.
Void, yeah.
Time vent or something.
And John said, absolutely not. We're not having that. No, because they will end the show. And I have to say, I agree with him. I think they would have taken that opportunity to just say, oh, you're not coming back in 87.
Yeah. But the cliffhanger ending on the Valyard looking to camera and laughing maniacally is wonderful anyway. That's a great way to end it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's still out there, which is why it annoys me, Paul. He's never in Michael Jaston, one of our great actors, never included in that bloody lineup, and yet that bloody woman is.
He took on the form as the gatekeeper, didn't he? At the end,
the keeper.
Keep the Matrix, James Reeves character,
He was in the War Games, wasn't he? So he comes
and
back
Full Circle as well. So
we have to remember as well at this particular point when Trial of the Time Lord was being broadcast, especially for episode 13, there was no guarantee the thing was coming back. At this point as well, Colin Baker was doing publicity for the series again, and he was about to appear on Saturday Superstore.
Yeah.
After he had been told he wasn't going to be needed for any future series. And I remember that day watching Saturday Superstore for Colin and watching him, and he's quite subdued, but the way he answered the question, there was a question from a young viewer that came in and said to him something along the lines of, I can't remember the question, but Colin's answer was very much, where would you go if you had a TARDIS? It was the traditional kids question. And Colin said, do you know what? I would go back and do it again. And that's when I thought he's talking in past tense. He's left.
Yeah.
It was the first time we'd seen him out of costume. He was in a leather jacket and a grey shirt.
He was trying to negotiate to do one story and then regenerate, didn't he? And that
sort of stuff. I think that was all going on at this point. Pip and Jane Baker gave us a grand finale under extreme circumstances, says Rich Brooks. They were proper professional writers. Unlike the DEI talentless hacks these days. Totally agree. Can you imagine them today? They would not. Oh no, they wouldn't tolerate it, would they? Pip and Jane did an amazing job. They were working with location and set photos, says Daniel Cox. Yeah, because that had all been booked. So they had to revolve the story around where it was going to be booked and go to. Gosh, another thing. Something rare here about Writers of Who at the time. We recognised the names on any show. We did, because we were big fans, weren't we?
I guess there's a great moments in episode 14. One of us I particularly like is a bit where the Valyard disappears and Glitz and the Doctor are about to be gassed by the sea mist or whatever it is, and they run towards the beach hut, and it's the Master's TARDIS. I love that. That was great.
And what does the Master's TARDIS materialize as when he's in the pottery place?
Oh, it's a statue of Queen Victoria.
Which was a big prop.
I like the Valyard's weapon when he throws a feather, explosive feathers.
Oh
it was a long run. Gosh, I mean, it's amazing that we're going back to it now, nearly 40 years since its first broadcast. Don't forget, we are reviewing this Saturday, the 6th of September 2026, the exact 40 years on. We're going to be reviewing The Mysterious Planet, parts 1 to 4 of the Trial of a Time Lord, 5 o'clock live here on the channel, followed by your big show at 8. Busy day for us on Sunday, but come and join us. Trial of a Time Lord, of course, has gone down as actually quite legendary for what it was saying, as Miles was saying, that it's one big season. It's the first time it had been done in Doctor Who's history. It hasn't actually been done. Well, it hasn't been done since, has it?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we had a thing called Flux with Jodie, and it's not quite the same thing, but they did something.
They never quite the same.
It's only Key to Time on it, and Trial of Time Lord have done this. That's it.
One of the big fun things I've had for our Trial of a Time Lord series is putting continuity together so that the series looks the same when you eventually see it all together, because there's this, but there's also Mysterious Planet, Mind Warp, Terror of the Vervoids, and then The Ultimate Foe. And I've tried to work on a look for all those thumbnails you're going to get to see to show that the 4 episodes are linked. The little Trial of a Time Lord logo. I've had great fun trying to do it. Unlike Target back in the day, who really annoyed me eventually, it brought out the stories in absolutely the wrong order. And for reasons that we won't go into in this particular show, the last book, can you spot it? The last book in the Terror of the Time Lord, Trial of a Time Lord, book to be published was, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls?
The Ultimate Fool?
No.
Mind Warp. Was it Mind Warp, wasn't it? Mind Warp.
It's Mind Warp. Look at it.
Yeah.
It stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
It looks awful artwork, doesn't it?
Well, it's not just that. Look, the blue. Each of these had a light blue spine. Mind Warp has a white spine. And look where they've put the flash of Trial of a Time Lord on Mind Warp, because a new editor didn't care. Whereas the first 3 books have the Trial of a Time Lord and the slash on the bottom right hand corner.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah,
I was really annoyed to this day about
I must admit, I'm not a massive fan of any of them covers either. They're not exactly. No.
Did they all come out in the same year?
No. Mind Warp was the last to come out. It took years. I don't know what the issues were. I think Philip Martin may have been allegedly late delivering a script.
And Mind Warp didn't come out in hardback, did it? So
no, Mind Warp went straight to.
It's like, oh god, it's a nightmare for a collector. It really was.
It came out. I think the order was Mysterious Planet, Terror of the Vervoids, Ultimate Foe, Mind Warp over several years, Miles.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe they were trying to work out what the hell was going on in Mind Warp. It just took that long.
Maybe.
That's probably what it was.
To make this a single narrative.
I'm looking at them now on my shelves of Target books, and I get so annoyed because Mind Warp, as I say, has the white spine, and the other 3 have the blue spine. I am really annoyed about it, Who viewers. I never forgave them for that. However, it came out in those books. It's also been re-released on the day as, of course, the Target BBC Studios audio books range. Originally, it came out in 2 volumes, Trial of a Time Lord Story 1 and Story 2, which is at the top there, and Story 3 and Story 4, with different covers, as you can see. The covers slightly changed there, as you can see. Originally, they had the Paul McGann TV movie logo on, as all the merchandise does. And then in 2023, they were re-jacketed for the download versions with the Arch logo, the version of the Tom Baker logo. But the covers there a little bit better. The Mind Warp one is far better.
Yeah,
that's quite neat. Yeah. That's and the color scheme on that looks very reminiscent of the actual show, isn't it? With
it does,
blue and stuff. Yeah, we like that. That's quite good.
I don't like the Vervoid one there.
The Vervoid one is much better, isn't it? It looks really good.
I don't like it.
You don't like it? Do you prefer the original one?
Yeah. Although even that, the Vervoid looks
rubbish,
unusual.
Looks like clip art, and they look like clip art too.
Wait till you see ours.
Anyway.
Oh my god! Of course, since then as well, the Trial of a Time Lord appeared, and this must have been a real gift for BBC Enterprises as they were then, because as we all know, it appeared on DVD. It came out as a season box set on DVD.
You did, yeah. Yep.
All 4. I mean, it was a huge seller. I remember it being at number 1 for at least a month. The Trial of a Time Lord.
It's actually got some great features in it. I remember the thing about like the behind the scenes stuff is a well worth watching documentary, isn't it?
Trials and Tribulations, a great documentary.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a really interesting, and do feel so sorry for Colin, don't you? I mean, good God,
you do.
And one of, you know.
Of course, it was also released as the collection season 23 in both limited edition, collector's edition, and the standard edition, which is still available to this day. And it's brilliant that we've got that. It did mean, though, that, however, there are no more Colin Baker videos or DVD, Blu-ray presentations because he only had the 2 seasons. So they're now both out there on standard. That's it. That is it. But they are there. At the time, back in 1986, of course, we were expecting huge, big fanfares for the show coming back. What we got were the BBC One trailers and the indents, if you remember them, coming up this autumn. Clock, 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 clock. That's what they were there. You can have a look at them here on the Tube of Who. We got the Radio Times not giving the Doctor a cover, which I was so disappointed about. I thought 18 months, your flagship show is coming back. Well, it wasn't flagship by then, let's be honest. They gave it the back pages, of course, with John Craven.
Yeah, you would have thought they could have done if they really wanted to push it. Because it'd been off a long time. It would have been nice. I mean, he done the Blue Peter appearances, wasn't there, and the Saturday Superstore stuff. But actual media to actually have it on the front of the Radio Times would have helped.
It
was
looks
on
very
Wogan
bland,
as well, if
though.
you remember.
It had already started then.
Sorry, Miles?
Their mission to sink it had already started at that stage.
There was no hope. You can look back now. I think Graham and Paul will agree with me here. You can look back at this point now, and they'd lost interest, and they were just doing through the mill. They were going through the mill. They were treating it like, I mean, EastEnders was everywhere. Let's face it.
Yeah, it was.
And that was the big one. And Doctor Who was just a silly little show that's been put on at 5 o'clock after a rat, for heaven's sake. Having said that, though, Colin and Nicola and Bonnie did their very best. John had them into everything going. Now, this is one of my favourite pictures because there's one of my favourites. It's Kenny Everett, who had a new series starting at the same time. When you look back at the 1986 BBC One lineup, including Saturdays, it was actually fairly strong. You had Bob's Full House starting in 1986. That was coming in. Paul Daniels was on the way back, of course. Kenny Everett's new series was starting. He'd recently moved over from Thames Television. So there was a hell of a lot going on in 1986. Howard's Way, all these things, guys, remember? Yeah. But there was a lot happening. So Colin and Nicola started it off, and it continued again towards the end of the series, where Bonnie came along and helped Colin to promote the Trial of a Time Lord, the episode she was in. You can see famously now that Colin had his beard.
I think he's trying to copy Brian Blessed there. Look, he's got his mouth open. He's trying to do it. He's doing a Blessed.
The Doctor, do you look?
Yeah. Graham and Paul have both mentioned throughout the show that Blue Peter, the wonderful Blue Peter, of course, came back to the rescue of Doctor Who. Of course, they were going to include it. And when the show came back, they did an incredibly long feature, which starred Nabil Shaban, Colin Baker, Bonnie Langford, along with presenters Peter Duncan, Janet Ellis, and Mark Curry. This was incredible. Again, you can see it on the Tube of Who. I remember being blown away by this back then, back in 1986. They did the whole thing about presenting the Trial of a Time Lord, explaining what it was going to be to their young audience and those of us that weren't that young. The TARDIS scenes are absolutely lovely with Colin and Bonnie. Bonnie quite being fun, but sort of bewildered that she's there. Thank God Mark was there, because they went back to Bugsy Malone.
Yeah.
But it's nice, and it's nice to see it again. Is it on the Blu-ray? I've forgotten.
It is on the Blu-ray.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
Blu-ray. That's nice to know. Towards the end of the run, still no Radio Times cover, and it's such a shame because if you believe the rumours that this picture was supposed to be the cover of one of the Radio Times at the end, and it's such a shame it would have worked.
Oh, that would have been good.
It was shoved on the back pages again, guys. I'm not going to be polite about it. It was. Yeah, what a shame.
I think it's very bland doing that, leaving on the back page in it.
Considering we spent money on it, it seems such a waste of money again from the BBC not to promote it properly. Yeah. It's the bad business sense again, typically. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of you in the chat. Funky saying Colin is a true professional. We need more like him now. Avon saying Robert Holmes wrote some fantastic scripts for Blake 7, which gives me a great opportunity. Don't forget about our Blake 7 reviews here on the channel. We're nearly at the end of series 2. Oh yes. So make sure you go and check those out. And St. John saying, I need to rewatch Blake 7. Yes, you do. And come and join us for our review shows. The next one's coming up in a couple of weeks. Oh, Daniel's reminded me of the other big thing that happened in 1986 is when Pip and Jane were on open air being questioned by angry Doctor Who fans, one of which was Chris Chibnall.
Yeah,
and he's never lived it down. And do you know something, Daniel? I have this theory that because he did get a backlash personally, Chibnall, from other fans, including me, for several years after that, I think that's why he did what he did with Doctor Who, because personally, not speaking for anyone else, but I think when he decided eventually to take the thing, because he didn't want Doctor Who, don't forget, I thought he says, now I'm going to upset as many of them as I can.
Get my own
it's
back.
Just a personal thing.
After what happened in '86.
I think he knew.
When he was on open air, he was very pompous to them.
Yeah.
When he talked to them, very pompous.
Yeah, because John tries to be more, the memory cheats and all that, doesn't he? But
but I remember watching it with horror live because open air was live.
Yeah, it was.
It was Patty
Caldwell.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How could I forget Patty Colville's name?
Yeah. God bless her. Anyway.
God bless her. She was fabulous. And she was so lovely to people like me that were students. And she was so, come in, have a seat, let's talk, questions, answers, brilliant. Come to the show, oh God, how could I forget her name? But I remember watching it live on the television, being horrified, thinking they are pushing this too far. And that's where I think the whole element of nerds and geeks and anoraks really came to the fore, because they were going too much. And anybody, all the Notwees, and let's face it, a lot of Notwees were watching it at this point, new television, new daytime television on the BBC. They must have been like, these people are insane.
They can repeat the same thing, but the BBC did it when they did Time in the Rani the following year. Open Air did a coverage of that, and Open Air, Paddy Colville and people like that were just really nasty about Doctor Who. It was really quite embarrassing, you know.
Yeah, poor old Sylvester, Bonnie, John, they all got it. John must have been really fed up at this point. Sylvester trying to say to everybody, calm down, we're going where you want us to go, we'll get there, he was professional as well with all this.
He was,
You know, it was a shame, really. I mean, gosh, it's a shame. Let's have a look. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Good to see you. Pip and Jane did a good job with part 14, which was head and shoulders above the efforts of their infamous staunch critic, Mr. Chubby Balls. Thank you, Good Gray. Raymond Williams always thought Colin was miscast. Saywood had some justified criticisms of his performance, whereas McCoy looked perfect for the role, although he's too comical in the first season. Yeah. A lot of you commenting on the covers. I'm glad you like those. Raymond also saying to us the BBC wanted to kill it. Not wrong at this point. We know that now.
Yeah,
we know that, don't we? They wanted it off the air, and it became very, very evident the year after when they stuck it on a bloody Coronation Street night. Yeah, God.
And the budget was so small, wasn't it? When you look at season 23, season 24, it looks like it cost literally hardly anything to make on so many ways, doesn't it? You know, and it's such a shame. They've done wonders with limited money.
It is. It was an interesting year, 1986. We had waited 18 months, and then on the 6th of September 1986, the Doctor was back on his Saturday night home with the Trial of a Time Lord. I hope you've enjoyed this overview with us of season 23. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, I'm going to say it again, the Trial of a Time Lord reviews start on Sunday, the 6th of September 2026 here on Who's Views at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, as near, damn it, as we could to the actual broadcast time with our schedule. We're going to be back to review those first 4 episodes, so more of it coming along as we mark 40 years of this series. I'm saying that to wind Paul up. Brilliant.
It's working.
To Lex, to Miles, to Paul, to Graham, and to Phil, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you so much for joining me, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Good fun.
And we'll all be back, and hopefully you'll all be back for the Mysterious Planet review. Don't forget to please hype. You can give us a like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. You're very, very welcome to Who's Views. If you're not new to the channel, please make sure you're still subscribed. And our next scheduled show, as I tell you, on Sunday, 5 o'clock for the Mysterious Planet, and then your big show, as usual, live at 8 with special guest Simon Guerrier. There you go. He's going to be talking about the 6th Doctor's novel he's just written. Wow. He's going to be taking your questions as well. Should be good. From all of us, thanks for joining us. We will see you again very soon, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Ta-ra.
Good night.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.